Ready, there's a few seats. People are still drifting in. We're waiting for 2 alder people to join us, and we'll begin the meeting shortly. (2025) is hereby called to order at 6:04 p.m. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman Barrero.
Here.
Alderwoman Garza.
Present.
Alderman Masiacos.
Present.
Alderman Nunez.
Here.
Alderman Franco.
Here.
Alderman Seville.
Here.
Alderman Banuelos.
Here.
Alderwoman Smith.
Here.
Alderman Bug.
Here.
Alderwoman Bade.
Here.
Alderman Larson.
Here.
Alderman White. And Mayor Lash is present.
Okay, next, Sergeant at Arms. Is there a motion to
So
approve the
moved.
appointment of the Sergeant
Second.
at Arms this meeting? Motion was made by Alderwoman Smith, seconded by Alderwoman Garza. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries by voice vote. Tonight, I will ask Alderman Masiacos to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. If everybody will please stand. Next, we'll move to the mayor's report. Give it to you, John. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Mayor. We are honoring 2 entities here tonight, individual and the IT department for National Cybersecurity Awareness Month. Let's give it up for IT here in the city of Aurora. In case you guys weren't aware, the city's IT department again is offering a free home internet security course for the entire public to consume throughout the month of October. You can find it at aurora.il.us/free internet security course. And the password to take the course is home course. Cybersecurity is ultra important. Here in the city of Aurora, we have a great cyber team within IT that helps to keep all things functioning and safe. So we'll invite the mayor to come on down. We'll invite IT to come on up as we have a proclamation for National Cybersecurity Awareness Month here in October in Aurora.
All right, not only is it National Cybersecurity Awareness Month, but our IT CIO has worked diligently to put the the company that's behind a lot of our IT services out to bid and reduce the cost by at least half, right? Yes. Half. So we're going to go into the 2026 budget year with a new company supporting the city's IT department, and also want to recognize Layla for all your hard work in drafting policies to deal with AI and all of the other cybersecurities and answering all of my emails about possible phishing expeditions. So with no further ado, whereas the City of Aurora acknowledges its pivotal role in identifying, safeguarding against, and responding to cyber threats with potential repercussions for the city, its constituents, and neighboring areas, and whereas it is essential for residents, businesses, and governments to understand the steps they can take to protect themselves online, promoting a safe and secure digital experience. And whereas by fostering a culture of cybersecurity awareness, the city can assist in empowering the community to recognize and respond to potential threats, thereby enhancing Aurora's collective resilience. And whereas the City of Aurora's Information Technology Department and Cybersecurity Division have taken a proactive approach to cybersecurity awareness for city staff and community members through education, free internet safety courses, and public workshops. And whereas cybersecurity and upholding the safety of the digital landscape are collective duties where every individual has a critical role to execute. I, Mayor John Lash, do hereby proclaim October as National Cybersecurity Awareness Month in the City of Aurora, Illinois, and encourage all citizens to recognize the importance of cybersecurity and to participate in free educational activities, workshops, and online courses made available throughout the month. So we'll do a quick photo, and then if either of you wants to make some quick comments and encourage people to do the right thing.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Council, for support. City of Aurora is here to support the entire people around, and we are offering so many courses and the internet courses, which we said that. So now cybersecurity is not a month celebration or a day training. It's going to be the mindset. So that's how we close our doors before we leave, and also like how we do, we fasten our belt before the driving. Is going to be the same to cybersecurity. Thank you. Be aware.
Thank you to the IT team and the cybersecurity team here at the City of Aurora's IT department. Again, that course is still available, so if you want to check it out, URL there on the screen. Next up for tonight, as part of the mayor's report, is an honor that's been in the works for a long time. He's a proud son of Aurora, West Aurora High School legend, Illini legend, and one of the only players from Aurora to be drafted into the NBA. He truly is one of the GOATs of Aurora athletics. Put your hands together for Kenny Battle. Now, we're going to invite up as well family and friends who'd like to join Kenny. We have a tribute video that we'd also like to play on the screens before we get to the proclamation. So if any family and friends would like to come up and join Kenny, you're welcome to at this time.
It's a true statement. I was in high school and watching you at U of I. Everybody's a huge fan. So, but I'm a white guy, could barely get above the rim. But right here. Do you want to stand to the left here? This gentleman wants to.
Yeah. Kenny's right next to you.
There you go. What's up, buddy? What's up, baby? Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's my.
If you all would like, please turn your attention to the screens throughout council chambers as we play the tribute video for Kenny Battle.
If any of the other members of the council want to come on down for the photo op, go ahead.
Kenny Battle, you know. Kenny Battle was exciting.
People from other towns or communities and so forth would say, you know, they had to get over and see West High play because they heard so much about Kenny and how hard he played and so forth.
All these big-time coaches, they're pulling up in limos outside of West Aurora. And you watching this, it's like, it's everyone's packed, standing room only, no matter where you go. I don't care where you go, it's packed when West Aurora comes to town. When I saw John Thompson, Georgetown coach, sitting in the stands, I knew Battle was gonna be somebody.
He was very passionate. He was no nonsense. When he was out there, he was the leader.
I was hearing about this guy that was going to set the world on fire. We got an opportunity to peek in on some practices and all the rest of that and see the legend in person.
Kenny Battle is the only player in Aurora, Illinois to be drafted. Not only drafted, but the first round. Kenny Battle is the GOAT of Aurora.
I think my fondest memory of Kenny Battle, I'm not gonna talk the time he dunked on me, but I'm gonna talk about the time when he dunked on Michael Jordan. He was in Summer League in Chicago. And when Battle went up on Jordan and dunked on him, it was so nasty. Everybody in the gym went crazy. They started running out of there. You heard people saying, man, he dunked on Mike with his own shoes on.
Kenny stole the show with the under the jersey dunk. My man backed up around half court, dribbled a couple times, took off, jumped in the air, put the basketball under his shirt while in the air, pulled it back out, dunked. I think all of us at that point just decided it's over. We can't come anywhere close to that.
To this community, he's meant a lot, especially the basketball community, especially he came back, was coaching, very much appreciated.
And I think that was one of the most impressive things about Kenny, that he just played with a great deal of effort. He was very athletic, and he played with a lot of enthusiasm. In fact, he's probably one of the hardest working athletes that I've ever been around.
I would probably say one of the things that stands out when thinking about young Kenny Battle that still translates into who he became was that burning fire that fueled what he did on the court, and he never seemed to tire. He never seemed to give up.
To have a leadership award, I mean, it shows you that you can push through anything and become something. Battle went all the way to the NBA. That's like hitting the lottery. It means the world to us because we still look up to him this day, and there's no doubt that this day is long overdue. It should have been here 40 years ago. But I'm glad it's here today because he deserves to be celebrated. Battle put Aurora on the map.
Congratulations, man. I'm proud of you for what you do for the community, what you do for the game of basketball. You know, it means a lot to Aurora, Illinois.
Kenny Battle, congratulations, my brother. You mean the world to me, and you mean the world to so many people, man. This is your day, man, and you deserve it, brother. I love you.
KB, Kenny Ray Battle, appreciate everything you've done for the city. Hey, continued blessings, brother.
Congratulations, Kenny. Thank you for the memories. Thank you for your friendship, your contributions to the program as a player and a coach. Good luck in all your endeavors. Blessings to you and your family.
Thank you, Kenny Battle, for the show. I thank you. I thank you.
So before we start, I just want to recognize J.L. Harris for bringing Kenny to the city council chambers and as you said in the video, recognizing something that's long overdue. And it's a true honor for me. I can tell you as a farm boy from Newark that played basketball but struggled to get on the team at 5'9", barely get above the rim. It was always awesome watching him play. I remember being 7th and 8th grade and watching him down at U of I take it to the hole every single time and represent the city of Aurora and our region. A huge fan. So it's an honor to proclaim October 10th, Kenny Battle's birthday, Kenny Battle Day here in the city of Aurora. Kenny Battle is a Kenny Battle is a proud son of Aurora, graduate of West Aurora High School, and a member of Blackhawks' legendary 1984 varsity basketball team that finished third in the IHSA Class AA State Basketball Championship. And Battle excelled at both Northern Illinois University and the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, setting multiple single-season steal records, earning significant accolades, leading the Flying Illini to an NCAA Final Four appearance and captivating the national audiences as King of the 360s. And whereas Battle went on to represent Aurora at the professional level, playing 4 seasons in the National Basketball Association, competing in the 1990 Slam Dunk Contest, and competing in the 1990 NBA playoffs as a member of the Phoenix Suns. And Battle's memorable basketball career also includes induction into the Illinois Basketball Coaches Association's Hall of Fame, member of both Northern Illinois University and the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign's men's basketball all-century teams, and the namesake of Kenny Battle's Leadership Award. And whereas the city of Aurora expresses its heartfelt gratitude to Kenny Battle for his extraordinary representation of Aurora on the national stage, contributing to the betterment of our great city. I, Mayor John Lash, am honored to congratulate Battle on his outstanding accomplishments and do hereby proclaim this birthday, his birthday, October 10th, as Kenny Battle Day in the city of Aurora in perpetuity. Congratulations, sir. Say a few words and get a photo with him. Yeah. We'll do this one. We'll do a close-up and then we'll do a family one. 1, 2, and 3. And then JL, you want to get over here? I'll let you stand right next to him. Let him say a few words. I'm gonna bring the mic back and why don't you shoot that photo there too? Got it. 1, 2, and 3. Probably gonna have to raise that up a little bit. Go ahead, Gerald.
Real quick, I'm not going to take your time out. No, I'm not, right. Real quick, I don't want to take your time up, but I want to thank John Lass and the committee and the West Aurora staff for being able to acknowledge this day. It's long been overdue. For over 40 years, Kenny Battle should have had his day a long time ago in the city of Aurora. I'm glad it has happened, and like I said, no further ado to me, but hey, I'm just happy. So give it up for Kenny Battle Day on October 10th. Forever in Aurora. He deserve it. He made it to NBA from the hood. And don't stop here, John. I'm going to need a Kenny Battle way over there on Jericho Circle. We'll be talking about that later.
Well, Mayor, first of all, thank you and your committee for giving me this day. And, I have always been in Aurora since 1979. All my coaches, Coach McDougal, Coach Kirkman, Curtis Shaw, the entire staff at West Aurora believed in me. They pushed me. They made me excel, not only in the classroom, but on the court. And they made me believe that West Aurora is the way to go. And all the young men that came before me and after me, and even today, still have that instilled in them, that West Aurora will always play until the final buzzer. And to my family that's here, friends, longtime friends, Sonny Passaway. We share the same birthday. We go way back. This is my guy. I have my family here, my wife, my 4 boys, Keon, Cameron, Kendall, and Casey, and then I have my grandson, Casey. Thank you guys for honoring us. Thank you for having my family here. I have my cousin Janice and my cousin Melvin in the stand. They too shy to come up, but they know I love them all, and I love everybody that believes in Aurora. It doesn't matter which side of the river you're on, Aurora is Aurora. And thank you all for coming out tonight.
We also have one more special presentation. We've made a custom City of Aurora jersey for Kenny Battle.
That will fit my grandson. Mayor, we'll take a picture.
You've done this before.
Ready? 1, 2, and 3. Cool. Thanks to City of Aurora.
Thanks.
Any family members of Kenny Battle that would like to come up, you're welcome to take a photo with him here in front.
How about all the council members get a picture taken? All of us. Let's
If all
go
the
do it.
council members would like to come
Yep.
down and take a picture, you can
Council
as well.
members.
Feel free. Please come on down.
The council wants to get a photo with you. Here we go, Sonny. Look my way. Good.
Don't let it get away. This works. All right, guys, right here. Ready, go. 1, 2, 3.
I'm good.
Thank you again for everybody coming out to honor IT and, of course, Kenny Battle. One more round of applause for Kenny Battle, the legend. Kenny Battle Day here in the city of Aurora. As everybody files out, one last reminder that Luminora continues in downtown Aurora. Luminora Fest took place this past weekend from October 10th through the 12th. If you walk around downtown Aurora, you'll see 17 installations still littered throughout the downtown. Feel free to walk around, check them out. They will be up until October 26th. And with that, I will conclude the report and hand it back to the mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, John. For those people who came for that presentation, if you want to find your way out, other people that might be standing and want to take a seat, you're welcome to find a seat. Those that have been vacated, we're going to make a few appointments, take a few more pictures, and then we'll move into the public comment section of the agenda for the night. As soon as we have all the aldermen back.
Oh, good, thank you. Did you tell him my toes were melted?
No, I did not.
Okay, the next portion of the agenda, mayoral appointments. I'll ask the clerk to please read the next agenda item. Sorry. Do you want me to just read them?
250707, a resolution authorizing the appointment of Brian Caputo to the Aurora Civic Center Authority Board.
So moved.
Is there a motion on this agenda item? Motion was made by Alderman Franco, seconded by Alderman Seville. Are there any questions or discussions regarding this resolution? There being no further questions, will the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman Barrero?
Yes.
Alderwoman Garza?
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos?
Yes.
Alderman Nunez?
Yes.
Alderman Franco?
Yes.
Alderman Seville?
Yes.
Alderman Benuelos?
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith?
Yes.
Alderman Bug?
Yes.
Alderwoman Bade?
Yes.
Alderman Larson?
Yes.
11 yes, 0 no.
Motion carries. This resolution is approved. Please congratulate Mr. Caputo's appointment to the ACA board. And what we'll do is we'll go through the appointments, and then I'll come on down and we'll take a few photographs. Next agenda item.
250724, a resolution authorizing the reappointment of Ramona Wood and Craig Gunty to the Aurora Civil Service Commission.
So moved.
Second.
Is there a motion made by Alderwoman Smith, seconded by Alderman Franco? Are there any questions, discussions regarding this resolution? There being none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman Barrero?
Yes.
Alderwoman Garza?
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos?
Yes.
Alderman Nunez?
Yes.
Alderman Franco?
Yes.
Alderman Seville?
Yes.
Alderman Benuelos?
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith?
Yes.
Alderman Bug?
Yes.
Alderwoman Bade?
Yes.
Alderman Larson?
Yes.
11 yes, 0 no.
Motion carries. This resolution is approved. Is Ramona Wood or Craig Gunty here tonight? And would you please stand and be recognized? We've got one more to go, and then we'll take a quick photo.
250730, a resolution authorizing the reappointments of Gerald Lubshina, Eric Rodriguez, Linda Cole, Judy Durham, Manel Shaw, and the appointment of Shannon Buckley to the Block Grant Working Committee.
So
Is there a
moved.
motion to approve this resolution? Motion made by Alderwoman Smith, seconded by Alderman Nunez. Are there any questions or discussions
Mayor.
regarding this resolution?
Mayor,
Alderman Masiacos.
if I may, real quick, before I started my unplanned, well, actually, when I started my unplanned stint at Public Service, I started on the Capital Development Board, and I want to congratulate everybody who's asking to continue or want to be new to this committee, particular to, first of all, Mrs. Linda Cole, who I served on the Plan Commission with for many years after the Capital Development Board. And then after that, quickly I moved on. Before that, I was also on the CDBG board, which Dr. Lubshina was the chairman of that board on a short stint that I was recommended by the late Shakita Hart Burns. So, and you were also my honors history teacher as well at East High. So, appreciate to see that you're willing to still continue serving our city. So, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman. Are there any other questions or discussion or comments based on this agenda item?
Yes,
Alderman
Mr. Mayor.
Seville.
Yeah, I too want to commend once again Linda Cole, who I've known for many years, working in the community and serving on different bodies and the like, and Jerry Lupsina. Jerry's been representing the 6th Ward since before my tenure on City Council. I appreciate your service and your willingness to continue to serve and do what's right for our community. So thank you both, and I know you'll continue the good work. So.
Are there any other questions or comments from the council? There being none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman Barrero?
Yes.
Alderwoman Garza?
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos?
Yes.
Alderman Nunez?
Yes.
Alderman Franco?
Yes.
Alderman Seville?
Yes.
Alderman Benuelos?
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith?
Yes.
Alderman Bug?
Yes.
Alderwoman Bade?
Yes.
Alderman Larson?
Yes.
11 yes, 0 no.
Motion carries. This resolution is approved. I'll ask Gerald, Eric, Linda, Judy, Minal, and Shannon to please stand and let the recognize her by the crowd and the council. And if you want to work your way up while you're still standing, I'll come down and take a quick photo, and then we'll go in reverse order to take photos with the other committee members that were selected tonight.
Ready? 1, 2, and 3. Jeez.
Let's give him another round of applause.
We'll also invite up all other board and commission appointees.
Anything planned to speak, but when I get a chance to talk, I usually do. Anyway, I've been on this board since September of 1981. I've been the chairman since 1998, and I've seen an awful lot of changes in Aurora. And the federal government has really helped us over the years with each year getting about $1.2 million to help on our different projects. And that's all I'll say right now. I don't want to take too much time.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you. You work your way back. Thank you so much. You want to do everybody? Okay, all right. I guess come on. Sorry, come back up, Mina. I'm gonna slide this right back here. Brian, you want to hop in? Okay.
Ready, 1, 2, and 3. Whiskey.
Better than cheese.
You guys are all set.
All right, thank you. Thanks again. All right, this time really. We'll get one.
Ready, 1, 2, and 3.
Okay, if you came for the presentations and want to stay, you're welcome to stay. If you came for the presentations and you want to duck out, you can take a minute and slip out of here. Thanks everybody again for choosing to serve on the CDBG Block Grant Committee and all of our other boards and commissions. Next section is public comment. Madam Clerk, do we have any members of the public wishing to offer public comment?
We do, Mr. Mayor.
Will you please read the rules for public comment?
Pursuant to the Open Meetings Act, all persons shall be permitted an opportunity to address public officials under the rules established and recorded by the council. Under our rules, any person may address the city council for up to 3 minutes with a maximum of 30 minutes allotted for all public comment. No person other than the timekeeper or the chair for the purpose of maintaining order may interrupt a person recognized for public comment during his or her comments. Members of the city council shall not engage with nor respond to a speaker during the time set aside for public comment. Staff is directed to follow up with members of the public with respect to any concerns raised during public comment within the scope of the city's authority following the adjournment of this meeting.
Okay. Madam Clerk, will you please read the name of the first person wishing to offer public comment this evening?
Vernita McGee Andrews.
If you just want to take to a microphone there'll be a little set of lights. You have 3 minutes. You can feel free to adjust the microphone, but your 3 minutes begins now. Welcome.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Vernita, and I am the founder of Stable Able Housing. And Stable Able Housing is housing for homeless veterans. So I want to take this time out to say thank you for the opportunity to address you all. Stable Able Housing is much needed here in Aurora. And I know that they have homes in other counties for veterans. So veterans is very dear to my heart. My husband is a veteran, and I work with a veteran that had no family for 15 years. And that gave me the drive to keep going after he passed away in the beginning of January of this year. And so in the military, they say that no man left behind. It's been a whole lot of veterans have been left behind. So Stable Able is here to stay, hopefully. Not hopefully, we're here to stay. And we say all hands on deck. And I just want to just bring stability to those that's have lost their way. And for me, I know the way because that was me, you know. So you guys wear a lot of different hats. I wear a lot of different shoes. And so I have walked in many shoes. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is that I have walked in many other shoes, and I just don't walk the walk. I don't talk the talk, I walk the walk. I'm pretty much boots on the ground when it comes to meeting the needs of the veterans. And I do know firsthand how to do that just by being out there and knowing what the needs are. So I just thank you guys for your time. And I just want to introduce to some and present to others the program that I have brought to our city. And I'm just hoping all hands are on deck where we can, see to that every veteran have a place to call home. For me, there shouldn't be no veteran homeless. That's just my take. They fought for us, and now I find myself fighting for them. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Andrews. Madam Clerk, will you please read the name of the next person wishing to offer public comment?
Andrea Prestanario.
Welcome, Andrea. You can take either side and adjust the microphone.
Thank you.
You have 3 minutes, beginning now.
Hi, and good evening to the Aurora City Council. My name is Andrea Prestanario, and I'm a non-resident and actress who was born and raised in Palos Heights. I have just completed a successful run in Come From Away at the Paramount playing the pilot. Thank you. I'm here today to talk to the City Council about your continued investment in the Aurora Civic Center Authority, the ACCA. 14 years ago, the Paramount Theater began its inaugural season with My Fair Lady, and I had the opportunity to play the leading role of Eliza. At that time, everyone doubted that Paramount would survive as a producing theater. The Chicago Trib review of our show wrote on September 14th, 2011, quote, "If you are the romantic type, someone who likes to see grand old vaudeville houses packed to the rafters and chaser lights cutting through the gloom of a struggling Midwestern downtown, then Friday Night in Aurora was an evening to remember." End quote. Overnight, a whole new loverly era was ushered in. ACCA auspiciously opened the Paramount School of the Arts, the Copley Theater, Artist Housing, a rehearsal hall, Stope Island Theater, and River Edge Park in just 14 years. Paramount Theater is now the #1 theater subscriber base in the country. I have a long history with the city of Aurora. My mother and her entire family were born and raised here, and many of her siblings and cousins still live here. Before 2011, the downtown district was desolate. We just didn't have a reason to come here. And during my production of My Fair Lady, there were a couple of restaurants to choose from. And now, being here for Come From Away, the streets are bustling with so many restaurants, the Yellowbird bookstore, art galleries, and ice cream shop. The theater has single-handedly created an economic boom for the city's downtown. I understand the city of Aurora is facing financial challenges. Given the positive developments over these years, I was shocked to learn that Mayor Lash's solution for addressing these financial challenges was to pull away from the financial commitment that the previous mayor had communicated instead of investing deeper. Investing deeper in the ACCA is an economic solution. I know that the City Council and the ACCA share the vision of revitalizing the downtown district. Paramount is the heartbeat of the downtown district and the place to invest in more deeply, not financially abandon. Why? There is a proven ROI on investing in the arts. According to the Americans for the Arts, when people go see live arts, they spend money on everything from dinner, drinks, transportation, parking, childcare. The average is $38 per person per show. There is a direct parallel between the ascendancy of the Paramount, in my opinion, and the ascendancy of the downtown district. Why would you punish or take away from the institution that is supporting some 1,035 jobs, according to the Paramount? And it is generating a $53 million economic impact. I implore you to officially provide support for the ACCA in your FY26 budget. You will be protecting these jobs and creating an economic return on your investment. Thank you so much for your time.
3 minutes is up. Thank you, Andrea. Will the clerk please read the name of the next person wishing to offer public comment?
Sun Knight.
Welcome, Sonyet. You have 3 minutes beginning now.
Okay. To the Mayor of Aurora, John Lash, regarding the Immigration Customs Enforcement, ICE, the U.S. Constitution grants the federal government exclusive authority over immigration. It's a federal agency responsible for enforcing federal immigration laws, which includes detention and deportation. The mayor of Aurora, John Lash, cannot prevent ICE from operating within the city. Here to clarify to your lawyers, no obstruction of federal enforcement. The main objective of ICE is to protect national security and public safety. ICE targets human traffickers, drug smugglers, financial fraud, cyber crimes, etc. The focus on criminals who threaten public safety. ICE works to prevent terrorism. You cannot fight terrorism, so leave them alone. ICE combat illegal movement of people, goods, and contraband across U.S. border. ICE apprehend and remove individual who violates U.S. immigration laws. You told Aurora residents you are a fiscal responsible mayor. Why are you spending taxpayers' money to house, feed, healthcare to illegal immigrants? It is putting pressure on certain public services, particularly schools, hospitals, emergency rooms. Since you came to office in May, you increased property taxes, grocery taxes, you increased hotel taxes, you increased water rate, you increased sewer rate, you increased meter fees. Next week, you might increase taxes in the air we breathe. Here to ask ICE to take you with them to the detention center. That will take off a lot of burden from taxpayers. We don't want ICE in Aurora, Illinois. You can leave. ICE will be here operating by land and air. They have a federal power you don't. You already ignored to lower the flag when President Trump ordered for Charlie Kirk. Today, President Trump honored Charlie Kirk with presidential freedom of honor. Thank you.
Thank you, Sonia. Madam Clerk, will you please read the name of the next person wishing to offer public comment?
Lydia Burke.
Welcome, Ms. Burke. You have 3 minutes beginning now.
Thank you so much. Hi, my name is Lydia Burke, and I am a proud member of the Actors Equity Union and have had the privilege of performing in 9, going on 10 productions at the Paramount Theater since 2021. And I'm here to ask you to please not cut the funding to the Paramount Theater. As a mayoral candidate, Mayor Lash promised that you would support more arts and community by continuing to support the Paramount and then by winning the election by just over 400 votes. Since his win, upon presenting the first budget, it's been determined that the city is spending way too much on live arts, and the Paramount Theater is creating jobs and is a positive return on investment. As Andrea said previously, there have been multiple studies for years that have supported this point. And when people go and see live arts, they spend money on everything from dinners to childcare, parking, all that. And according to the Paramount, that means that we are supporting over 1,300 local jobs that can't be outsourced or offshored. And this is generating approximately $53 million in economic impact, including $4 million in state and local revenue. And I would like to make the point that it's not just the patrons that are investing in the community because of the Paramount Theater, it's also the arts workers themselves. Not only just in the Paramount School for the Arts, where we're teaching the next generation to love the arts and to invest in themselves and become more powerful and confident as individuals, it's also us investing in the community as well. In my years at working at the Paramount, I have had the privilege of watching the city of Aurora grow, and it's been one of the most beautiful things that I have had the opportunity to see. It's been amazing to see how new, smaller businesses have been able to start, grow, and thrive in downtown Aurora that weren't there just a few years ago, like Alice's Corner or Craft Urban. And performers and technicians and theater administrators all alike not only participate, but invest in the community financially and with their time and resources. Paramount is the reason that I fell in love with the city of Aurora, so I'm asking you to please not cut its funding. Protect the jobs and economic impact, yes, but most importantly, protect the people and the community that it has helped to shape. At a time when the arts is under attack at a federal level, it's imperative to continue to protect them on the local level as much as possible. Thank you so much for your time and consideration, and please, please consider continuing to support the Paramount. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Burke. Madam Clerk, will you please call the name of the next person wishing to offer public comment?
Rick Lawrence.
Welcome, Mr. Lawrence. You
Hey,
have
how you
3
doing?
minutes beginning now.
I actually wanted to congratulate the city council last week for all the discussion that they had on a topic that we brought up that raised some concerns about spending money. Once again, Brian Caputo came up and said it's the worst he's seen. It's not a temporary situation. The park, a lot of discussion about that, $26 million. That adds, the debt service of that adds approximately $1.8 million per year to that park. We talk about we're going to make it profitability. You just added $1.8 million to it. Park costs us $30 million to build with all of the management fees and everything else for the last 13, 14 years. With this new addition of $26 million, you're probably going to have somewhere about $70 to $80 million that the taxpayers have put into this park. Now we're broke. Now we're $40 million. We've criticized the Paramount for the way that they operate their facilities, and they're losing money. And we're saying that they're in financial straits. Look at how we're running this park. Now we want to spend $800,000 on some TVs. You're going to finance those TVs for 30 years in this bond, if it's a 30-year bond, if I'm correct. The TVs are going to have a life of about five years, 10 years before they're obsolete. You'll have replaced these TVs 2-3 times, and you'll still be paying for the first one. $800,000 is a place that you can cut. Don't put the structure up. If you want to do anything, put the foundations in. Wegman has them about $57,000. You call Wegman up, tell him, put him in for 45, he'll take it. You had some great questions. Alderman Nunes has some questions about change orders on that park. Why is an architect coming back for $100,000 on something that everybody knew was there? This wasn't a surprise. We put it in. Every infrastructure part in that park was known to the contractor, was known to the architects. And you know why it's a $100,000 change order? Because they can. Because they know you'll say yes. And you won't push back on it. You're going to come back to the taxpayers and try to raise taxes to cover this huge hole that was left, and people can blame the previous administration. But we're not changing our approach. We're pushing to spend this money on these TVs. We've already had 4 TVs on this thing. We need 2 more for $800,000. $100,000 change order. Alderman Nunes was right. We knew those electric lines were there. Those are built-in change orders. They say, don't worry about it. We'll do a change order later. They'll cover it because they always do. That's what you're going to see in the fire stations coming up. It's the same thing. You got to push back at some point. Give the taxpayers a break. Don't spend the $800,000 on the TVs. If you want to put the foundations in, you could do that for about $45,000. Tell that architect you're not paying him $100,000, that he has to do his job correctly.
Thank you. Your time's exceeded. Madam Clerk, will you read the name of the next person wishing to offer public comment?
Danny Sowery.
Welcome, Mr. Sawyer. You have 3 minutes beginning now.
Before I start, I'm going to take a few moments here of silence for Charlie Kirk in honor of his birthday. All right. Let's start, shall we? Hello, everybody. Good evening. My name is Danny Suri. Another week and another black eye across the country for this city because of this incompetent buffoon of a mayor. Here's the bottom line. Let's go over the details. City goes up in flames. He tells the police to stand down and step aside while a bunch of people start going crazy on the streets. And I understand the emotion. I understand that, and just to be clear, I don't like people getting grabbed up anonymously off the streets either. But this genius's solution is not only to allow it, but to tell the police who sign applications to get shot in the face and die to protect us to stand down, and you cut their power off. Then you attack and you threaten to fire and get rid of firefighters over a flag issue. Every single time you open your mouth or you make one of your statements that Shannon writes for you, we look like a bunch of idiots. So while we do that, let's go ahead and tell you some federal laws that you broke. 18 U.S. Code 1505, obstruction of federal proceedings. 18 U.S. Code 371, conspiracy against the United States. 18 U.S. Code 2383, rebellion or insurrection. 18 U.S. Code 2384, seditious conspiracy. And 18 U.S. Code 2, aiding and abetting. The question is not for this guy, because this guy can't think on his own. He has his puppets telling him what to do. My question is for all of you city council members. When are you guys going to hold this guy accountable? You all need to get reelected again, right? Well, how are your constituents supposed to vote for you when you let this? You guys can say, Rick is right. You guys can say whatever you want about the previous administration. You're all allowing this guy to do even worse. So here's the bottom line. The people are sick and tired of you. And if you look at all of the social media the city government puts out, they're all trashing you for a reason. Not only are you a coward, you can't handle money, you can't handle a budget, and you're going to go after the ACCA. Why? Is it a play that you wouldn't enjoy, just like we lost Rec House of St. Charles, because it's not a place you would go to? You're an absolute putz, and you're a clown of a mayor. And I'm sorry to have to use these words, but there's no other words to speak to you with. So you can smirk and smile all you want and take your photos next to gang members and have them posted online and allow a fist fight to break out in front of you on the streets. You're an absolute schmuck, and I cannot wait for the day for you to leave this office. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sori. Madam Clerk, will you please read the name of the next person wishing to offer public comment?
Guadalupe Garcia.
Welcome, Ms. Garcia. You have 3 minutes beginning now. Feel free to adjust the microphone if you need to.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, City Council. Thank you, fellow Aurorans. I appreciate you letting me have this moment here and speak. I actually let everybody know, or let the person know who signed me up, that I'm here to pray. There's a lot of anger, a lot of frustration, a lot going on in this city, a lot of talking by people, a lot of warring by people who have a lot of big mouths to say a lot of things on both sides of this fence of the current issues. But today, I stand here, and I'm going to pray for the city. I'm going to pray for every one of you and every one of you, and I'm going to stand and I'm going to say, hey, you guys all should be ashamed for fighting with each other instead of becoming the unified front that you should. I'm sorry that my anger is impeding upon my time, but I am going to say this. We are not meant to be divided. We are meant to be together. And if you guys can't understand that, if all of you guys can't understand that, then there is something wrong in this city. So forgive me that my anger has come up because I think it is just absolutely atrocious that decorum is no longer a thing in this city. All right, so today, and I might go past my time. Today, I'm grieved because our city, our country, our state, our nation, our region has become riddled with outrage and division over the current occurrences and happenings. Whether it's out in the public, on social media, hurt and hate is prevalent from both sides of the fence. I don't care where you're at. You guys are all talking a lot of crap. Today, I'm going to pray. And I know I said crap. But today I'm going to pray for peace, for the all-encompassing shalom of Yahweh God. Yes, shalom. The word shalom in Hebrew represents peace as the destruction of chaos by the divine authority of God. So today I ask for you, city council members and mayor, and people of Aurora, and of course, the police officers too, for you to stand with me in prayer. So today I'm going to pray for that shalom, for that utter devouring of chaos. Father in heaven, we come before you and we ask for your perfect shalom. We need your peace. We don't need chaos. We don't need people's mouths going everywhere. We really don't. You know, forgive me again. We need, Father, we need your peace. We don't need chaos. We need your
Ms.
love in
Garcia,
us, and we do not
your 3 minutes is
hate, excluding from us,
Ms.
excluding
Garcia.
from us. I pray the Holy Spirit devour this chaos, this hate that is running rampant. We as a community seek to be
Ms.
in
Garcia,
one
your
in
3
unity.
minutes is up.
So I'm
Thank
asking
you.
to remove the deception from our eyes
Thank you.
and our minds so that we can clearly see
Ms.
your
Garcia, your 3
understanding
minutes
and
is
not
up.
our own. Cover us, Lord, and may your love be present here. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Ms. Garcia. Madam Clerk, will you please read the name of the next person wishing to offer public comment?
Sandy Schmidt.
Welcome, Ms. Schmidt. Please feel free to adjust the microphone. You have 3 minutes beginning now.
Hello, Sandy Schmidt, Ward 5. I'd like to start off by saying Happy Diwali to everybody. It's a beautiful holiday. It's the city, or it's City of Lights. It's a holiday to celebrate light and love, and so Happy Diwali. I'd like to go back to the big picture here and remind everybody that, you know, when Mayor Lash and this council took over, they were already $35 million in debt. In addition, we now have that $100 bond, which is also debt. And I kind of think of it as like a home mortgage. You're like really excited to buy a home, and then you look at options, and then you have to get a loan, and you have an interest rate, and you have to make payments. So when we're talking about that, when you go to buy your house, you do have a contingency in there in case things come up that are unexpected, that are going to be detrimental to your new property. So I want to keep that in mind, that that's what we're talking about here is $135 million in debt. The council has passed the 1% continuation of the grocery tax. We've had layoffs, we've had new jobs created, but you know what, we can't go back. And so I'm asking the council today, as well as the staff of the city and department heads, to let's figure out what we can do to move forward. Let's quit pointing fingers and arguing about who voted what through. The people want you to figure it out, and we need to move forward. So really, I don't care who did it, it's on you. You need to be our advocates at this point. I also want to recognize the city staff who also inherited projects and city debt. In particular, I've had I interacted with Jason Bauer a little bit, and I believe him to be doing the best that he can. He inherited some of these projects. He's been very open. When he came last week, he did not say, he told you were making the decisions. So I really would like people to respect city employees and not go after them. And I'm not talking about you all, I'm talking about online. So really, in closing, we're $135 million in debt. Today, you're going to be voting on the jumbotrons. And frankly, we don't have the budget for 2026 yet. We don't know what that's going to look like. There will be interest on all of these new projects, and we don't know that the fire departments are going to come in on budget. There will likely be things that'll pop up. So if you're at all on the fence today about what your vote's going to be when the jumbotrons come up, I ask you to vote no, because it can be voted and it can be put in later. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Schmidt. Madam Clerk, will you please read the name of the next person wishing to offer public comment?
Ann Bachman McIntosh.
Welcome, Ann. It's been a while. Feel free to adjust the microphone. You have 3 minutes beginning now.
Thank you very much, Mayor. John and I go way back. We are labor advocates, so that's where we know each other. And I was a big supporter of yours, John, and many of my neighbors. So we're wishing you all the best. I am too concerned about the negativity that's going on in our country and in our community. I am not a person who likes to point fingers or blame others for problems that we have. I don't think there's a place for that. We can disagree, agree to disagree, and do it in a professional way. The purpose of my reason of speaking to the council tonight is that I heard that in some of the discussions about how to cut our budget, because we are in a deficit, is to lay off or reduce, RIF, whatever the word you want to call, of 60 police officers. And I think that's about 19% of the police force or staff. Maybe not all officers, maybe it could be psychiatrists, psychologists, social workers, things like that. That's why I wanted to talk with you before, so that I had all the information. I only hear it from one side. And I like to hear the facts from both sides or all sides. So I think as a longtime Auroran, I moved here in 1987 after I graduated from the university. And I made my home here, and I raised a child here. And I'm proud to call Aurora my home. And I've lived in 4 different homes here in town. But I have a concern if we're going to reduce our public servants, because people is what makes Aurora. Just like teachers and support staff make a school district. It's the people that are going to protect us, the people that are going to keep our property values up. I've seen a lot of change in our community in the almost 40 years that I've lived here, and it's been for good. You can't cut your way out of a deficit in 1 year or in 1 year's budget, maybe even 3 years, without people feeling real pain. So I know you have hard decisions to make. Your jobs can be very thankless at times. And I just hope that you listen to the people that it's going to impact, because those officers, or if it's going to be fire people, many of those people live in our community, and it's going to impact their families too. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Bachman-Thomas. 3 minutes is up. Madam Clerk, do we have any other members wishing to offer public comment?
We do not, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, if there's no more speakers, next we will hear both the consent agenda and the direct to council consent agenda in full. I know that there were several questions for items on the consent agenda, so we will take a moment to get those questions answered before actually voting on this. But first, I'll ask the clerk to please read the agenda in full.
250619, a resolution authorizing the purchase and installation of new pumping equipment for New Well 105 in the not-to-exceed amount of $178,213. 250663, a resolution authorizing procurement of an enterprise agreement for GIS software from Environmental Systems Research Institute of Redlands, California, in the amount of $562,100 for a 3-year term plus Year 2 and Year 3 of ArcGIS Indoors and Business Analyst. 250693, a resolution authorizing an agreement for administrative services with Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois for HMO, PPO, and Value HAS Group Health and Stop Loss Plan Administration for period January 1, 2026 through December 31st, 2026. 250702, a resolution authorizing the purchase of golf course patio furniture and portable bar from Sister Bay Furniture using the Tips USA cooperative contract for $67,586.10 from the Golf Operations Fund. 250706, a resolution authorizing the acceptance of a grant award of $4,033.65 for the Aurora Fire Department to purchase hazardous materials equipment. 250715, a resolution approving the purchase of bulk rock salt in the amounts of $70.79 per ton from Compass Minerals America from Overland Park, Kansas for the Division of Street Maintenance under the DuPage County Department of Transportation of Illinois Joint Purchasing Agreement bid for the 2025-2026 winter season. 250732, a resolution authorizing Sun Life Insurance to provide life insurance services for January 1st, 2026 through December 31st, 2026. 250738, an ordinance vacating a water main easement and cross-access easement on the property located south of Bilter Road and west of North Eola Road in DuPage County. 250739, a resolution to approve an amendment to an existing contract with H.R. Green in the amount of $247,259.51 for the purposes of land acquisition. 250742, a resolution authorizing the Director of Purchasing to execute a contract with National Technologies in the amount of $60,000 for fiber relocation in association with the Farnsworth and Bilter Roadway Improvement Project. 250753, a resolution authorizing the approval of an amendment to the agreement with MC2 to provide electrical aggregation services. 230407, a resolution accepting the dedication of a water main easement located south of Georgetown Circle between South Barrington Drive East and Carls Drive. 250748, a resolution accepting the dedication of a city easement and city water main easement located in Lot 1 of Meridian Parkways re-subdivision. 250767, approval of the minutes of the Tuesday, September 23rd, 2025 City Council meeting. 250768, approval of the minutes of the Thursday, September 25th, 2025 Special City Council meeting. 250788, a resolution approving reduction number 1 for PAS Plaza, 1395 Butterfield Road. 250789, a resolution accepting the improvements and waiving the maintenance security for Aurora Genesis, 4170 Ogden Avenue.
Is there a motion to approve the items on both the direct-to-council consent and consent agenda as read?
So moved.
Motion made by Alderman Franco. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Larson. Before we take a vote, are there any questions from members of the council on any of the agenda items read into the record? Alderwoman Smith.
Yes, Mayor, I would like to have 25-0732 moved to unfinished for further discussion, please.
25-0732 is being moved to unfinished business. Are there any other agenda items?
Yes.
Alderman Bug?
For the record, I spoke to Director Jason Bauer regarding 230407. This could stay on direct consent agenda. However, just the wording in our Legistar, we need to change one street there. So it should say south of Providence, between South Barrington Drive East and Carls Drive.
Which agenda item was it, sorry?
23-0407.
0407?
Yes.
Right here.
That's on direct to council.
Yes.
Which means no further action, right? No council action needed.
So, I'm sorry, can you,
Go ahead, Dr. Mike.
sorry, can you state it again? I was still looking for the agenda item while you were talking.
Sure. So it should say Providence Avenue instead of Georgetown Circle.
Oh, got you. And that should be corrected in the resolution itself?
I don't know if it was just in the heading or if it was actually in the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Bauer.
Good evening, Jason Bauer with the Department of Public Works. Yeah, it's just an error in the title on the Legistar. All the easement documentation is correct. We just have, it's actually about 1,000 feet further to the east, like the Alderman indicated.
I don't know who made the motion. With the change, with that change, I don't know who made the motion, I'm sorry.
Alderman Bug.
Oh, you made the motion for the consent?
No, I made the motion for the consent.
Yeah, that's
So
what I thought it came from
I'll
the
make
side.
the motion for consent based on that new language. Is that what
Thank
you're
you.
looking for?
That's what I'm
Okay,
looking for,
fine.
and then is the second in agreement?
Yes.
Second.
Okay, that's all I wanted. Thank
Sorry
you.
about that.
Okay, so that'll stay on the consent agenda
Okay.
with that change. Any other questions on agenda items? Okay. If there's no further questions, I'll ask the clerk. We have a motion and a second. I'll ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Alderman Barrero?
Yes.
Alderwoman Garza?
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos?
Yes.
Alderman Nunez?
Yes.
Alderman Franco?
Yes.
Alderman Seville?
Yes.
Alderman Benuelos?
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith?
Yes.
Alderman Bug?
Yes.
Alderwoman Bade?
Yes.
Alderman Larson?
Yes.
11 yes, 0 no.
This motion carries and the ordinance is adopted. Next, we'll move to unfinished business. We'll just start at the top, 250733.
The item that she moved.
I believe that Dr. Caputo had a question on this one.
Want me to read it?
Yeah, go ahead.
250733, a resolution authorizing an agreement with Humana to administer a Medicare Advantage plan for Medicare-eligible retirees for the period of January 1st, 2026 through December 31st, 2026.
I believe this is the one where we had one contract signed. We were just waiting, and I know we got it the next day for the
We
email.
did get it
but-
right away, so this is ready to go.
Are there any questions on this agenda item? Alderman Barrero?
Yes, I have a follow-up question. This has been going around different meetings, and so my question has to do with the intent of freezing the retiree cost share with health insurance. The issue is that depending on when a retiree retires, they're paying a different rate. Different employees are paying different rates depending on when they retire. In some cases, they're paying less than what the city's paying. So my question is, what is the intent, and how can we rectify that if that's the case?
Yes, Alderman. So I think it's important to separate the plan and voting on the rates that we're going to be paying, or accepting the rates that we're going to be paying versus the premiums that the retirees would be paying. This just deals with the plan. And there's no issues, I was saying earlier, no issues with this anymore. Now, as far as the rates that employees will pay, or retirees will pay, the retirees in question are only those that are Medicare age. I think that's what the issue is, because this plan just simply is a traditional insurance plan where we just pay all the coverage there is provided by the insurance company. There's no self-insurance, anything like that. So what's essentially happened over the course of years, as you described, there's been kind of a mismatch between, has become a mismatch between what the retirees pay and what we actually pay. In some cases, people are doing better. In some cases, they're not doing as well. In other words, that they're paying more than the premium. What makes this even more complicated is that some of this is embedded in collective bargaining agreements as to what these rates are supposed to be. So what we're going to do is we are going to take a look at that whole arrangement and try to align, as you've suggested, Alderman, try to align the cost to the retiree with the cost of the rate we pay. It's not going to be, I don't think it's going to be quick and easy. It probably would be easiest with the executives and non-exempts that retired, but that's a relatively small part of the pool. But it would be simpler. It makes more sense to do it exactly as you're suggesting, but we need to go through a process in order to figure that out. And we have engaged our consultant to help us sort through it so that we can get this issue addressed. But I'm hoping that we can do it for the 2026 plan year, but we're already right on top of open enrollment, so I don't know that is very likely. But I'm hoping that we have a solution certainly for 2027, but we're going to even try for 2026. I just can't guarantee that.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions on this agenda item? Is there a motion to approve this agenda item?
Second.
Motion made by Alderwoman Smith, seconded by Alderman Franco. If there's no further questions, I'll ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Alderman Barrero?
Yes.
Alderwoman Garza?
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos?
Yes.
Alderman Nunez?
Yes.
Alderman Franco?
Yes.
Alderman Seville?
Yes.
Alderman Banuelos?
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith?
Yes.
Alderman Bug?
Yes.
Alderwoman Babe? Yes. Alderman Larson?
Yes.
11 yes, 0 no.
Okay, this motion carries and the resolution is approved. I'll ask the clerk to please read the next agenda item, 250740.
250740, a resolution authorizing the Director of Purchasing to execute a change order to an existing contract with R.C. Wegman in the amount of $266,972.33 for ongoing work at River Edge Park, including the installation of Jumbotron support structures and paver replacement.
Point of order on this one, Mayor?
Sure. There's a motion by Alderman Franco. Point of order.
Yes, so this got a little bit, pardon the pun, jumbled up.
Yep.
This language is not the language that we looked at and put on unfinished last week. This language, this item and the next item were part of the same item in which an alderman asked for them to be separated out, which is fine, because you can make that motion to separate them out, but in this particular junction, it needs to be stated for the record that this item needs to be the exact same language as last week, that 250740, and not this changed language from this week, because what was moved forward here was something that we had not seen up until today. So you can't change it when we go from one place to another without a modification or an amendment. So we just need to make sure that we're doing this right for the record. If you'd like to.
So can I clarify, or let the attorney clarify, because there's 3 items now. One is.
So we, so what we did, I understand there was some confusion over this, and I'm hoping that.
It wasn't my confusion. I want to be real clear on that. The confusion the confusions were how the items were written. I'm just trying to clarify, the proper
I appreciate
legislation.
that. I was a little confused about it as well. So I think that, and Jason Bauer is here to answer some questions on it. I think there was some confusion about how when you update things in Legistar, how that changes how that it changes all the way through, and that caused a little confusion. But you should have in front of you 3 resolutions for the Jumbotron items, okay? And we did this so that we wanted to make it real clear what the potential votes would be on this, so that everyone knows what they're voting on. So you'll see that there's one labeled 20. I was going to say the top one, but I see everyone shuffling papers, so maybe it's not your top one anymore. But you'll see one that's labeled 25-0740 as of COW 10/7/25. And that is, as Alderman Smith noted, that is what was on the agenda and in the packet last week, okay? And that has the 2 pieces of the Jumbotron and the all the installation, and Mr. Bauer can go through all that, all in one resolution for a total amount of about 800,000. I'm not gonna find the exact number right now. And then the other 2, they're both single page back and front, so 2-page resolutions. One is labeled 25-0740 as of 10/14, which is today's date. No, and 25-0814 as of 10/14. And those have the split, those are the divided. So this is what Alderman Barrero requested last week at committee, to have them split so that 266,000 was on one resolution, and that one is for the that's for the amount of the support structure and paver replacement, and then the other piece of it, the 584,000, is for the Jumbotrons and supporting equipment. And I think Mr. Bauer can answer more specifics about the actual payments, but we don't pass all 3. Either we pass the one from, or none, I'm sorry, I'm not presuming. But either for consideration, you can consider the one from the Committee of the Whole last week, which includes both, or you can consider the 2 that are labeled with today's date.
May I ask a question on
Feel free.
your process? So, right now with what you've given us, the
given you
language
2
is
options.
perfect, but now we still have 2 25-0740s. So,
Yes, and that's just because the way, that's the Legistar numbers, and that's just the way Legistar works. It's the software.
If you look on your agenda sheet, it's 740 is combined, 741 is just
No.
the structures.
Oh, no,
No.
I'm in full understanding. I'm the
Okay.
one that brought this up. I fully understand. And what it
741
is,
is different.
it's good. I just didn't know if you can have two Legistar items that are written differently but the same number. I don't know.
They're two, so Legistar has it as two different versions because Clerk Stallings was able to restore the old version so that we had it from the committee of the whole to make sure that we had the original for purposes of making sure we had the one from the committee of the whole, and then we have the split. If you want to split the two pieces of the Jumbotron and the other change orders for River Edge Park, the two resolutions dated with today's date are listed with today's date.
So we have three different things going here. We have
We have three different things, but two are, so you have one that's labeled COW 10-7, and that is a combination of the split of the two that are labeled 10-14.
And Clerk, this is appropriate for legislation, how it would be filed and written. It's just, we've never had, it just happened, but we just got to make sure we've filed this correctly.
Okay. I'm not sure.
Any other questions on the process?
Yes, just for clarification, I think I'm understanding what the attorney was saying, though. The one that's labeled as COW is what came out of the committee of the whole last week, and that's everything combined. According to Alderman Barrero, his amendments would be splitting it in two. So in order for us to do business here, we have to bring it under Robert's rules and actually vote to approve it and second it, and then if there's an amendment after that, we go forward. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so I would move forward for approval of this at this time.
Well, there's been a motion made.
Okay.
First of all, let's make sure everybody's clear on it.
Yeah,
Then why don't we go and ask questions of Mr. Bauer? Then why don't we walk through the motions in seconds?
I got a question about the process.
Alderman
Shouldn't
Franco.
when that amendment was made, shouldn't that have been seconded at that last meeting? Because we're taking legislation and changing it with one person saying, I want this, nobody seconding it. That would be against legislative acts. So I don't know how we even got here, because that should have been, if we're gonna change legislation, it had to be amended at that time, or seconded at the time, sorry, because one alderman can't come up here and says, I want to change, and we're just gonna do it. Because that's, not that that was wrong, but it was out of process.
Procedurally, we do need a motion to divide
Right,
is
but
what's
wouldn't that have been more
necessary.
appropriate to do at that time, so we know going in it's gonna be a change, because another person on the city council wanted it? That's kind of what I'm looking at. I see what the end product is, but we have to follow the path, the correct path. That was my concern.
Yep. And this is the way that we prepared it in the
Sure.
Legistar system,
Right.
which is a bit technically cumbersome. And
Yeah, okay.
Alderman Masiacos.
So we have an amendment, I should say we have a resolution as of last week, period. That's what we have before us, as Alderman Seville stated. We have these two additional ones. If one alderman here at the dais wants to move forward with it, and it's not something that we've had uncommon. Now, what happened behind the scenes, I'm not quite sure, before we got to this point here today, over 7 days, but it's not uncommon to have two additional resolutions or additional resolution in preparation for an amendment to the resolution that was originally approved by committee and is moving forward to today's meeting from COW.
Now, and I'd like to comment on that.
Am I correct?
No, you're not.
Legal counsel?
I don't know what the city council's past practices are. I didn't call Rick Veenstra, but so I'm relying on some of the history that you guys have. But I that's not uncommon from what I've seen. Is that the kind of the purpose of committee is to discuss things and then things change, because that's the purpose of having committee discussions. So I understand Alderman Franco's point is that having it a little more formalized so that everyone's attention's drawn to it and it's very clear what is happening, that makes sense. I think that, the clunky system of Legistar is a little awkward because you don't get notifications between the committee meetings when things have changed. And, next time I think we'll make sure that, staff doesn't jump the gun. I think that, staff's trying to be responsive and helpful, and it's just a little clunky on Legistar. I understand your point, though.
Well, his point.
Hold on a second. I want to give Alderman Bug had his light on. He hasn't had a chance to speak. I don't know if you had anything, Alderman Bug or Alderwoman Bade. Both had your lights on. If you don't, that's fine.
I was just checking if my mic was working.
Okay.
Yeah. Certainly the process is important.
Yes.
So Alderman Franco generally is correct. You cannot unilaterally, I don't even think Alderman Barrero made a motion last week. So he said, he voiced his opinion and he wanted some things to change, and you go later and try and work that out. However, coming forward out of COW, the agenda item as move forward under unfinished, that does not change until a motion is made on it. So that language has to come forward on the next agenda. So yeah, normally this would not be the process, and it is hard to follow, but it sounds like Alderman Seville is about to correct that to the best of our ability, and then we'll know going forward that if you want to make an amendment, you have to motion, get a second, and then move forward in that manner.
And I have one more thing I need to say, Mayor. I appreciate
Alderwoman Smith.
I appreciate all the mansplaining here, because all of you men have said exactly what I said the first time around, as I had talked to council as well. So we only have one item on the agenda right now. That's the one that was from last week. Alderman Barrero, intentions today are to introduce these two amendments. I don't think we need to go around and say that again. I could say it a little clearer for the gentleman in the room, but I don't think I needed, 3 or 4 men saying the exact same thing I said, just to make it sound stronger or harder.
If there's any further questions on the process, I'd like to move to questions and answers. I know there were some questions for Jim Jarvis. Do you have any questions on process? This is your amendment that was prepared.
I just want to thank Patty for speaking for me. Thank you.
If I know we had some questions. I know that Jim was asked some questions about ticket sales, projected ticket sales. Hopefully we don't have to go through the whole presentation again. I know Alderwoman Garza was not here, but we'll give you some exceptions if there's details to probe into. But why don't we turn it over to Mr. Jarvis?
Thank you. I'm Jim Jarvis, Aurora Civic Center Authority. So there were 4 points that you asked me to investigate. So I'll just start from the top. Alderwoman Smith, you asked if we were to add those 1,000 seats in the lawn area, take a scenario, and we've actually worked up a budget for an offer we have out right now. It's a $65 ticket. So if we did indeed use that scenario, use those seats, you add in the service fees, so it's 14.5% for service fees, and then on top of it, the average person spends, and we net $12 per person. So when it's all said and done, that would have been an additional $86,425 from that area being activated. I believe it was also you or the alderman who asked if we could take those and put them into a couple of scenarios that we've had in the past. So I pulled some past shows out, in range. So it was Steve Miller and Peter Frampton. If we had those seats at the time under this exact formula that we have, it would have been $74,975 extra dollars. You asked to get a tribute show in there, so we did get the Let Out, which sells out every year. That would be the additional $39,480. And then we picked Earth, Wind, and Fire Temptations, and it would be $63,525. Next up, Alderman Benuelos, you asked for shows over the last couple of years, number of sold-out shows. So last year we had 2 sold-out shows, 3 shows that did 4,000 plus, and I'll explain why that's important in a second. 2023, we did 4 sold-out shows, 3 shows with 4,000 plus. And why the reason I say that is when we know we're going to get into that 4,000 range, what we did is we found to call it a Jumbotron's a misnomer. It was really an oversized TV. It was on a trailer. The guy would bring it up from Carbondale, Illinois. Cost us $4,000 per show, and we would put that back there. And so we tried to actually activate that area a little bit more, make it more of a patron experience at the time. A variety of challenges. Number one, the oversized TV was not great quality. Number 2, sometimes it showed up, sometimes it didn't, sometimes it showed up on time or right when the show was starting. So there was a variety of challenges in that. But normally that's the case because the truth of the matter is, the way the park is, once you start getting 4,000 people in, and especially because you get to bring your own bag chairs and stuff, it starts to get crowded. We're trying to give options to move people into a different area, especially with families. That Alderman Nunez and Alderman Bug, you had questions about facing west, and are there venues that actually have their patrons face west? So yes, there's both part of their skyboxes and part of their grandstands at Northerly Island faces directly west with the Jumbotrons right there that they can see. The new park in Orland Park, Centennial Park, West Amphitheater, the entire park is faced directly west with the Jumbotrons facing out in the opposite direction. Lollapalooza, they do have the Pepsi stage that faces, so folks are facing directly west at that point, looking right at the stage. And then, there's a smaller venue. It's in Oswego, venue 1012, that half those folks are looking at the stage west. The last part about this is when I talked to Nighthawk, so Nighthawk is the producer of these Jumbotrons, and we talked about daylight versus evening. So what they do is they measure the brightness in nits. So that's the unit of measurement for a screen's brightness. And what we would do is our Jumbotrons right now go up to 5,000 nits. The only one that goes higher are the really big ones like the Rolling Stones and Pink Hughes, etc. So during the day or when it's bright, normally the gates open around 6 o'clock at night for a show, with the exception of Blues on the Fox. That show opens up at 4 in the afternoon. You turn that all the way up. So full bright 100% is 5,000 nits. Its clarity is great. Even if you're staring into the sun, you can see exactly what's going on. You don't have any problems with that whatsoever. Once the sun starts to go down and we readjust, they said that we adjust the current ones down to 250 nits. Gives it the clarity you need, and then you have the show at nighttime.
Are there any other questions or follow-up on those answers that were asked at the previous meeting? Alderwoman Smith.
So when you gave us these numbers of the added 1,000 and the costs that per person that they would pay. So when you add those up at the end of a summer, did we get kind of a final total for that?
Well, I did it truthfully on if you even just did 3 sold-out shows under those numbers, you're talking about $259,275 just off of 3 sold-out shows.
Thank you. Thank you for putting that all together. It's very helpful.
Yep. Thank you. Thanks for letting me talk. And Mayor, if you wouldn't mind, could I say one more thing?
Go ahead.
Sorry about that. Very long story short, right? My job is just to come and present to you your different options. When I go back to it again, nobody did anything wrong, but when they built the park, They built a stage, a dressing room, some restrooms, a bar, and a restaurant. That's what you had. And we managed over the years to be able to do what we did, and it worked out great, still using it as a park. I was asked, and we were asked, what do you do to make this more sustainable, more competitive, et cetera? And so we laid that out for them, and that's one of the things as well that went along with it, all about the patron experience, drawing people. It's all interwoven on stuff.
And did, Mr. Bauer, do you have anything new to add? I don't know if any questions were asked of you.
No,
I know
think
this
Jim,
one's kept you up.
Yeah, I know. I think most of the questions were for Jim, but yeah, if there are any others that he can't answer, I'm more than happy to.
Okay. So currently, the resolution that came through Cal at 740, there's been a motion. I don't know if there's been a second or there is a second, if anybody'd like to make a second.
Second.
Second made by Alderman Masiacos. So this is the combined agenda item of the structures and the jumbotrons.
It's the one totaling $851,339.79.
Okay. And are there any questions, comments, or initiatives to make a motion to amend this agenda item?
Mayor Lash, is this the
Alderman
time?
Barrero.
Is this the time to make the motion?
If you would like to make a motion
Okay.
to amend, and it would be a motion to divide, motion to amend and divide the agenda item into two items.
So is that two separate motions?
No, it's one, it would be just one.
I'll let corporate counsel.
It would be one motion to amend.
So my motion is to divide these into two separate items.
Okay. Is there a second?
Is there a second?
Second.
Second made by Alderman Benuelos. So there's been a motion to divide this agenda item into two separate items, one which is listed also as 250740 for $105,000, $270 to pay Ratio Architects, execute the change order, and then it would be divided into a second agenda item under new business.
No, that's incorrect.
Let me.
Is that correct?
That's incorrect.
No?
Yeah, let me clarify. So.
Can I read the motion? Can I read the motion in
Yeah,
its
go ahead.
entirety then?
I'm sorry, Alderman Burrow, I didn't catch what you were saying.
So the language to split into two different projects
Yeah.
has two different resolution languages.
Yeah,
So-
so right now, it's just right now, Alderman Franco has a motion on the table. You have moved to divide it or to amend it, and that has been seconded. And now we need a procedural, that procedural question needs to be determined before we move to actually a decision on.
Right.
Do you want to
To
clarify?
To follow up on the procedure, so
Okay.
my intent was to make a motion for the pavers and the jumbotron support structures totaling $266,972.33. So that would be one motion, one vote. The way that you're proposing it, how do we make two votes out of that? Two separate votes? That's what I'm getting at. Do you want the language for each separate item? Because there's two items now, by splitting it. So we need to vote on each of those separately.
Is your intent to divide it into two separate agenda items, or is your intent?
My motion was just going to be, my
limit
motion was
this?
just for the first part.
Understood.
If somebody wants to make a motion for the second part, they're more than free to do that. I'm just moving
Okay.
for the first portion of this.
So the motion in a second then is just to limit this into to $266,972.33. Did I get that correct?
That's correct. That was that's my motion.
Okay.
Understood.
Okay. And then I guess, is that, are you willing to second that? Okay.
And the second by Alderman and Willows. Discussion on this motion to amend 740.
Yes. So,
Or do you want to speak in favor of your motion?
Well, I'm gonna give some rationale. So when I was a staff person here, occasionally, I would hit a wall with the aldermen up on this diocese. And sometimes they had some pretty good wisdom. One of those times is when I was a staff person, the project person for the animal shelter. And so they were calling it the Puppy Palace, and it was clear the votes weren't gonna be there. So I went back and worked with the architect, and we reduced the size of the animal shelter, and to the point where it was approved, and now we have an animal shelter. The second time, there was a learning experience with the GAR. So I was a staff person working on that and brought that forward to council, it hit the wall, and the aldermen sent me packing, and they asked me to come back after I found other revenue sources other than TIF money, because they thought they needed the TIF money for downtown development. So went back and worked with staff, and we worked hard and looked for grants. And we found grants to make that happen. And I was more than happy to come back explaining that we were going to do the GAR with a majority of grant dollars. So I didn't look at that as a problem. I looked at it as a challenge and an opportunity. So it was a win-win situation. The GAR is open today, and I look at this the same way. All I'm asking is, can we look at things differently? I had mentioned at the last meeting about sponsorships or naming rights for these jumbotrons. Can we find other sources to fund these? Also, the technology changes, and when I've attended concerts, those screens on the side are 3-4 times the size of what we have. So if you're talking about competing, are we competing when our screens aren't nowhere near close to what you have at some of these concert venues? And there's other things that we can look at. I'd be interested in knowing, about comparing the mesh screens compared to the jumbotron screens. And there's got to be a way to get a better cost if we were to outsource this, or have an RFQ and see what's out there. I think if we did that, I think we would feel better that at least we tried to see what options are out there. In regards to the support structures, we can move some of the screens that we have, and so that would not go to waste. And so we have not had those screens up front, since the inception of the Rivers Edge Park. So if we have bed overflow, we can use those, but maybe there's another way, a better alternative for up front for the viewing public. And so that was my intent for splitting this out.
Thank you, Alderman. Discussion on this amendment. Alderman Franco.
I just want to talk about what Alderman Burrow said. So I understand what you're saying. You want to try for us to get the best deal, the most bang for the buck. Who wouldn't want to do that? Now, if we're going to open the park in June, and we try to get this, and we don't get a better product for less money or grants or whatever, are we still going to be able to put that in? And is it going to still be at the price that we're looking at now? I understand what you're saying, but if that fails, and this is kind of important, if we're looking to generate that revenue next year, kind of have to be in there right when it opens. So we would have 9 months maybe to look at this, but if we got close, what do we suspect the price of the jumbotrons would be at that point? More? The same? I mean, that's kind of what we're looking at. If we're going to save money, we got to make sure we're going to really save money, because we end back into this and we got to do it the last second. What's it going to cost us? That's the only thing I'm looking at. I'm all for trying to do that, but it's got to be realistic.
Can I speak to one thing?
Sure. Let's get Alderman Franco's.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
If you're talking about from order to installation, you're anywhere from 4 to 6 months, because now is the time. So these are obviously built from scratch. And as the concert season starts and the big shows start going out, they're putting in their orders for jumbotrons and these big giant screens they start working on them, and so that's what dictates it. Number two, at least for Nighthawk, they're now, company's building another sphere. They got awarded that contract because they did the first one. They're going to start manufacturing for that as well. So that's where you get that 4 to 6 month window from start to finish on stuff.
Did you have follow-up? Go ahead.
So, just want to make sure, if we're looking at June, we'd have to kind of know by February, right? So maybe even before, 6 months, maybe the first of the year type of thing, so.
Yeah, the
I guess
latest.
my point wasn't that, but that's a very interesting point. My point was the cost part of it. We wait, is it gonna cost more? But that's an interesting thing too. So if we're gonna go this route, then we're gonna have to, we basically got 3 months to figure it out. If we can get better, more bang for the buck, grants, whatever. Otherwise, we gotta pull the trigger to be ready by June 1st. Would that be correct?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Jason, but I would guess at that point, it will go up, the price will go up if you
Yeah.
wait too long.
Yeah, I want to say that so these roughly are 265,000. The first batch that we bought, they were just under 200. So they have gone up in 4 years since the original ones were installed.
Alderman Nunez.
Mr. Brown, how much have we saved on this project already from the beginning of the year to now? I know we've talked about those numbers quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest savings we had was the re-engineering of the foundations that we worked on with Ratio, and that was a savings of in the range of maybe $300,000.
300. And then the cameras as well, we saved another
Yeah, when that originally was quoted through Scientel, it was over 800,000, and we got that number down into the 5 range, a little somewhere between 5 and 6. Yeah.
And the other thing I guess I'll ask for reiteration on, how many sold-out shows have we had in the last couple of years per season? Was it 3 or 4?
About, I think 5, 3, and 1, or let me look it up for you again. 6.
6
The
total?
last 2 years, yeah.
Okay, cool. And then, I mean, it's no secret, we're going into this budget cycle with a lot of red flags, a lot of uncertainty going into next year. So 6 shows at $4,000 a pop. I understand the inconsistency sometimes with the provider, but $24,000 versus $800,000 is something I would ask everyone to think about as we're having this discussion, whether we are talking about the jumbotrons or just the foundations and everything else. So just want everyone to kind of chew on those numbers as we answer to everyone here.
I would just, on that note, this project is being funded by the bonds, and that's not fungible money that we can move around. It has to be spent on the projects listed out in that bond series.
Those bonds are also handled by debt service, so it's still money being spent.
Alderwoman Smith.
Would not having these jumbotrons and not being able to officially say that you have them when you're out looking for shows, will that affect the quality or the names that you're getting, because you won't now have those in the back and you won't be able to advertise us as having those jumbotrons in the back for that 1,000 people? Will that make a difference for you as you are trying to gather bigger names?
Sure, yeah, I think for some, absolutely, because they ask exactly that. They ask for a schematic of where everything is, how the park's laid out, and especially because the unique situation we're in, it's a park during the week. We're not a traditional concert venue. So people want to know exactly how it's laid out, what the artist's looking at, et cetera, and stuff. And I think to the other point is, yeah, I mean, if you're truly trying to activate that back space, we can put a speaker back there. And I don't even know if the Jumbotron guy from Carbondale is still around, and we can look. But yeah, it absolutely, it will impact that. People will be less likely to want to hang out back there. So, you may sell it once or twice, but once they see you're not, don't have it there, and especially in this day and age, everybody's got the Jumbotrons. Ravinia's got it. Everywhere you look, there's a reason they put it out there on the lawn. 15,500 people never see a concert in person. They're all sitting on the lawn watching a Jumbotron. And if I would never in a million years advocate to move those Jumbotrons from in front of the park to the back. I think you'd be shooting yourself in the foot with the experience of all the people up front. I would go with just leaving the speaker in back and taking that. You don't want to, they've had it now for a couple of years. And some artists actually even call for those, having on either side, especially if they're running video, et cetera.
So I believe we're selling ourselves short by not finishing this project to its completion. We dedicated ourselves to this project over a year ago. The TROMs are in the bond, right? They were not the change order. They were in the bond. Part of the reason why we did this is so that we could bring in more talent, bigger names, bring in more money, more revenue. By cutting ourselves short, we're going to cut the revenue. You know, like you said, you might get away one or two shows, but by the third show, people are going to say, yeah, if I can't get in early, you know, I'm not going to go in because I got to sit in the back and there's nothing to see back there. So it's just my opinion that we are cutting ourselves short without getting these things done, put in at the price that we have now. And as the mayor said, this is part of the bond issue that we have right now. So thank you.
Alderman Benuelos.
Thank you, Mayor. Now, this purchase order that we have here for the Jumbotrons and its parts, it indicates that it's valid until 12/30 or 12/15 of 24. So is it possible that these prices have gone up already?
No, I reached out to Seiko 2 weeks ago, and they said the price is still valid.
Any other questions? Alderman Masiacos?
Oh, no.
Alderman
Alderman Lester, I also wanted to make another point, and as I mentioned before, it was the looking at the totality of the bonds. They're not just for the Rivers Edge Park; they're also for the fire stations, 3 of them, and also some road construction on Farnsworth and Belter. And so my thought was that we could, at a later date, get an update on those projects, see how we're doing, making sure that we're not going over budget. Because this is a change order, so that does mean that it was not in the original budget of the Rivers Edge Park. And so that could be pushed back until we get those firm numbers, and then that can come back at a later date. That was why I had not
part of your
proposed.
intent.
Yeah.
Thank you, Alderman. Just to address that, we haven't talked recently about project updates, but you see all of the change orders coming through unless they come through fire for the fire stations that are being built. Are there any others that we anticipate, or has anybody from fire seen any come through on the stations as they start to emerge?
Yeah, I'm not sure about the fire stations, but the larger roadway project is tracking to come in under budget from what it was awarded at.
Good news. Okay.
That's the Farnsworth and Bilter is the.
Any other questions on the amendment from the council? Okay, so there's a motion, a second for the amendment to only pay $266,972.33 for the Jumbotron structures and paver work. If there's no further questions, I will ask the clerk to call the roll only on the amendment.
Alderman Barrero?
Yes.
Alderwoman Garza?
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos?
No.
Alderman Nunez?
No.
Alderman Franco?
No, sorry.
Alderman Seville?
No.
Alderman Benuelos?
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith?
No.
Alderman Bug?
No.
Alderwoman Bade?
No.
Alderman Larson?
Yes.
4 yes, 7 no.
This motion on the amendment fails. Next, we will return to the original agenda item 250740, which is the combined structures and Jumbotrons. Are there any further questions or comments on this agenda item? There being none, I'll ask.
Yeah.
Alderman Bug.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Jarvis, for being here and sharing. My vote tonight was going to be totally dependent on what you told us. So, Alderman Franco asked you if we could hold off on this, how long it would take to put those in next year. And I was disappointed with your answer, but I believe it's truthful, be 4 to 6 months. So can we kick this down the road a little bit? Not really. When the park opens, well, the park opened in, say, May with Blues on the Fox, hopefully. Those aren't sold-out shows, we know that. But shortly thereafter, We would like to have a large act in late May, early June. Like I said, as I read through this afternoon, I was hoping that we would be able to wait until the early spring and maybe make some movement. You very clearly said that is not the case. We're going to move, we have to move now. If anyone's been to Ravinia and sat on the lawn, well, you probably sat on the lawn, very few people actually see the stage. Very few. My daughter. But other than that, you sit on the lawn and you sit in front of a Jumbotron. Done it many times. You cannot have a grass area away from your stage without having a Jumbotron. It just doesn't work. So, for that reason, I'm going to vote in favor of this and hope that we can pull in these acts. We support you and going after them, and hope that we are very successful in the next season.
Thank you, Alderman Bug. Any other members of the council wishing to make comment or ask any further questions on this agenda item? If there are none, I will ask the clerk to read the agenda item one more time so we're all clear about what we're voting on.
So this is the agenda item 250740 as it read as of the committee of the whole meeting on October 7th of 2025. A resolution authorizing the Director of Purchasing to execute contracts and change orders for ongoing work at River Edge Park for Jumbotron purchases and paver replacement.
And there has been a motion by Alderman Franco, and I believe it was seconded by Alderman Masiacos. So no further questions. I'll ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Alderman Barrero?
No.
Alderwoman Garza?
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos?
Yes.
Alderman Nunez?
No.
Alderman Franco?
Yes.
Alderman Seville?
Yes.
Alderman Banuelos?
No.
Alderwoman Smith? Alderman Bug?
Yes.
Alderwoman Bade? Yes. Alderman Larson?
Yes.
8 yes, 3 no.
Okay, motion carries. Motion carries. This resolution is approved. I'd like to thank the council for the civility and the discussion, and thank you, Alderman Barrero, for your motion. Sorry we didn't clarify it quite how we wanted to in Legistar, but I appreciate you clarifying it. And thanks to staff for pulling this all off as we all pull together to make sure that the changes at River's Edge Park are a success. There are going to be 2 more agenda items coming as part of the whole River Edge package comes forward. So I think they're much smaller pieces and not Jumbotrons. I know one's the sound system and the other one is...
Yep, correct. Sound and then fixtures and furniture.
Thank you. Okay. So we will move, and I'll ask the clerk to please read the next item on unfinished business.
250741, a resolution authorizing the Director of Purchasing to execute a change order to the existing contract with Ratio Architects in the amount of $105,270 for design services at River Edge Park.
Okay. Now this we want to vote down. Jason, this is the motion to divide, correct?
No. This is the changes.
Okay, this is just for the change order?
Yeah, this is for the architect.
Got it, okay. All right, just for the architect then, are there any other questions on this agenda item?
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Masiacos, second by Alderman Franco. No questions or comments. I'll ask the clerk to please call the roll on 250741.
Alderman Barrero?
Yes.
Alderwoman Garza?
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos?
Yes.
Alderman Nunez?
No.
Alderman Franco?
Yes.
Alderman Seville?
Yes.
Alderman Banuelos?
No.
What was that? No? Okay. Alderwoman Smith?
Yes.
Alderman Bug?
Yes.
Alderwoman Bade?
Yes.
Alderman Larson?
Yes.
9 yes, 2 no.
This motion carries. This resolution is approved. I'll ask the clerk to please call the next agenda item on unfinished business.
250752, a resolution approving estoppel certificates for the solar farm development at the Aurora Airport.
So moved.
Motion made by Alderman Franco, seconded by Alderwoman Smith. Are there any questions or discussions regarding this resolution, or if I believe someone had asked for a short presentation, Patrick is here, who is our airport guy.
Patrick Collins, Assistant Corporation Counsel and Airport Guy. Happy to answer any questions on this. This is for the solar farm in order to get their financing. They had a 3-year option agreement, and as they're moving forward to start breaking ground, they'll just want to confirm that the terms of the agreement are still the terms of the agreement with their lender.
And there's been no real changes to the terms of that agreement. I
absolutely.
know that we moved a fiber line for somebody, AT&T moved something, but
Yes.
only
other
to
than-
accommodate the project, not connected to the project.
Yep, the terms, we amended the actual location that they're having, but that's it there. So that was, from the beginning, we knew we were going to have to amend the location depending on how much energy ComEd could take.
Okay. Alderman Nunez?
Do we have an estimated timeframe of when this might be completed by?
Completed by no. They're hoping to break ground in the spring.
Spring?
When all of it goes in, that's still to be, they're going to start that and as it goes.
Thank you.
Okay, there's no further questions or comments. I'll ask the clerk to please, there's been a motion and a second. I'll ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Alderman Barrero?
Yes.
Alderwoman Garza?
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos?
Yes.
Alderman Nunez?
Yes.
Alderman Franco?
Yes.
Alderman Seville?
Yes.
Alderman Banuelos?
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith?
Yes.
Alderman Bug?
Yes.
Alderwoman Bade?
Yes.
Alderman Larson?
Yes.
11 yes, 0 no.
This motion carries. The resolution is approved. I'll ask the clerk to please read the next agenda item, which also has to do with the airport.
250754, a resolution authorizing the city treasurer to consent to the mortgage of the leasehold interest of TD Hangar Incorporated at the Aurora Municipal Airport.
So moved.
Motion made by
Second.
Alderwoman Smith, seconded by Alderman Franco. Give us a short presentation, I think is what the council had asked for on this agenda item.
Sure. Assistant Corporation Counsel Patrick Collins. We rented this land to the guy. If he wants to build, he needs to get permission from the city in order to put a mortgage on the property. And that's all this is.
Are there any questions from the council on this agenda item? Alderman Franco?
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Okay. If there's no further questions or discussion on this item, I'll ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Alderman Barrero?
Yes.
Alderwoman Garza?
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos?
Yes.
Alderman Nunez?
Yes.
Alderman Franco?
Yes.
Alderman Seville?
Yes.
Alderman Banuelos?
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith?
Yes.
Alderman Bug?
Yes.
Alderwoman Bade?
Yes.
Alderman Larson?
Yes.
11 yes, 0 no.
Motion carries. This resolution is approved. I'll ask the clerk to please read the next agenda item.
250756, an ordinance authorizing the 2025 voluntary reduction in force incentive plan.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Alderman Franco, second.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Banuelos. I think we were pretty thoroughly briefed on this. This hasn't changed since we brought it forward to the council. By voting on this, it'll allow us to offer employees a voluntary reduction in force of 8 weeks of health insurance and pay as we go into the budget process, and that would begin tomorrow immediately. I don't know if there's any questions from the council. HR is prepared to answer. Alderwoman Bade.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I didn't see anything that is addressing any furloughs we are offering. Are we not offering any furloughs?
That's correct. We're not offering any furloughs. For the most part, it doesn't really take care of the problem, and it would just extend the problem into the next budget year. I'll ask HR to step forward and add to that answer a little bit.
You answered it perfectly. We aren't offering furloughs.
Okay.
Alderman Nunez.
Last Tuesday morning, I sat in here during the employee town hall with the room filled with city employees. Were there any further discussions with the unions that had concerns that they raised while we were out here together?
So we have meetings scheduled with the unions on Friday. We wanted to make sure it was approved by council, and legal was still working out the details of the plan. So we met with 3298 and 1514, and then we have the other meetings scheduled for Friday.
And so for a little clarity, 3298 and 1514 made a counter proposal We are going out to IMRF to do a study, which is the requirement for that proposal, which will take several weeks and probably honestly not meet the timeline that we need, which means that the unions, when we meet with them Friday, might reject this, and that the VRIF would not be available for union employees. It would, however, still be available for non-union employees.
And was that explained to the unions?
Yes,
It-
they are aware.
They are aware.
They are aware.
They're aware, and there'll probably be some discussion on it Friday.
Yes.
Mayor Lash?
Any other questions? Alderman Barrero.
Yes. How is this plan factored into the 2026 budget? We haven't seen the budget document. I believe we're supposed to get it tomorrow. So how are we factoring this plan into that?
It's not factored into the 2026 budget, and the reason it's 8 weeks is because it is budgeted for in 2025. So hopefully, along the timeline that we plan to execute the voluntary RIF, we would be able to complete most of that by 2025. If for some reason there's a special case or two that is taken into consideration that bleeds into 2026, we would have to make adjustments in the 2026 budget. Does that answer your question?
It's not factored in, is what you're saying.
Correct. Alderwoman Smith.
So if we move forward with this plan, it's a voluntary, and they get 8 weeks of insurance.
They get 8 weeks of pay, and then they get 8 weeks of health care benefits.
What happens if we go through this plan and not enough people voluntarily go?
That's an ongoing discussion.
That's not a very good answer.
It's the answer that I have, given the fact that there are some unknowns at this point. We don't know how many people will take it. We do have a budget shortfall that we're trying to meet. But what could happen is you have some people who take the VRIF, and then you have to reshuffle based on the talent that you have available. And so there's still stuff that we have to, there's still information that we have to still sort out through that process. I wasn't trying to be vague. It's just there are some unknowns as we go through this process.
Right,
And the
and
VRIF is the
yes.
first step.
As Alderman Barrero just pointed out. So if we go through this and not enough people voluntarily leave, the next step is to just, if needed, lay people off with no compensation at all. It's just a layoff.
That's a possibility.
Our intent has been to offer the softest landing possible, should we have to go through that process. And, it'll be, again, if the unions reject it, then it'll be a discussion with them, should their members then choose to negotiate through them in those individual case-by-case situations. But our intent is to make this landing as soft as possible, should we not get voluntary reduction in force.
One more question. I know that the staff has been reduced some over the last however many weeks, months. Do you have a number of what that has been and how many more we need? And I'm sure you're basing it on dollar signs, not more than person, but.
A lot of work has been done, that's all I can say, to prepare for if we don't get the voluntary reduction in force. And again, it's always complicated because each person's salary level is different. The number of paid time off days that they have accrued is different to meet those budgetary needs. But I think that we have estimates. And I can say that, to close that pretty significant budget shortfall, it's been an intense amount of work. I did explain to, I think, a majority of you on the phone today that when you get the printed budget tomorrow, it will be a $2.5 million deficit if we've made all the adjustments that we made on a weekend moving into that to meet the timeline to make sure that the budget is put into you in your hands by that time. So that is a more complex, lengthier discussion. We're just trying to get this approved tonight so we have something to offer that soft landing. we can't predict. Some people have probably indicated to HR their intentions to take it. And then there'll be the ongoing union discussions that may or may not materialize into something different. Alderman Masiacos.
Mayor, real quick, the soft landing, how is it affected if we wait, or it's not affected if we wait to speak with all the unions representatives?
It's the terms of the VRIF would still be in place. I'm not sure. What do you mean, how is it affected if we wait to speak to the union?
Well, you said you haven't spoken, it was just said that not every union's been spoken to yet.
Correct. We had a general session with all the unions present,
Okay.
and then now we're going to have individual union meetings on Friday.
Okay, so you're starting the individual ones coming up?
Yes.
So you haven't had any individual to date?
Except for the 3298 and 1514.
Okay, so how
We
many
met
are
with them
left?
before. We have 6, I think we have total eight bargaining units. We have 6 left.
So is it a detriment if we wait to vote on this until you talk to everyone?
So my understanding is if we wait, so there's a timeline, and the idea is the money that we have to allow for the soft landing is budgeted through 2025, which means we would need to open that window in order to get people who are willing to accept it by a certain date, so that our offer doesn't bleed into 2026. And so my understanding is Mayor Lash is working really hard to see if we can impact only 2025 and not have it bleed into 2026.
And how
So that's why
quickly-
we're trying to move quickly.
So do you have an overall set schedule when you have completion of discussions with individually with each union?
Yeah, so the window will open, if approved, the window would open tomorrow on the 15th.
But you already
And it
spoken to
would-
2.
Correct, but the window is open through 31 October, and people would have until 31 October to submit an application.
Okay, so you have to speak with all the unions before the 31st of October?
We're scheduled on Friday. I have multiple
Starting
meetings.
Friday with
Yep.
completion date of before October 31st?
Yep.
All right.
That's the
clear.
goal.
All right.
That is the goal.
Alderwoman Bade first, and I'll come back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. What is the target range in dollar amounts that we want to achieve here? When do we stop and say we don't want to let people go?
So I think, we've all shared the big dollar numbers that we've been working very hard to hit. I think a decision was made over this weekend that we probably couldn't go any further without impacting city services in a very severe way. The streets not getting plowed, us not responding to fires, us not responding to accidents or calls for police service, continuing to serve our senior residents, et cetera. So that is why we stopped short $2.5 million. So the budget that everybody will get tomorrow will be a $2.5 million deficit. If you recall, in the previous years, money was shifted from different accounts to cover a $20 million deficit. So we've shrunk it down so the impact won't all be in 1 year. We have made some planned reductions to capital projects to move money over from capital to cover the $2.5 million shortfall. We've also effectively drained money in the SHAPE fund and other funds that are smaller, tied to certain things to cover. So for example, our DUI fund, we were able to appropriate a police officer out of there for 1 year, right? Just to try to lessen the impact. The $2.5 million will most likely be covered by either budget carryovers, increased revenue from the casino when they open next year, property sales, or in a worst case scenario, we can use the capital funds that we have set aside to close this budget shortfall, right? There's also an ongoing effort to continue to find other cuts and adjustments, again, to try and reduce the impact on staffing. And I'm giving you a broad picture. We had talked about potentially sharing an overview slide, but you will get, you will get the budget tomorrow, and then we'll probably try to have some summary slides available, and everything will go through finance. There'll be a pretty big overall presentation that's more fine-tuned as we go into it. And if you recall last budget year, there were some amended budgets that were sent to the council as PDFs. There will probably be something like that coming to us for a final vote after all the discussions. But for this agenda item, things are moving very quickly, and it helps us make the decisions about who and where and how to adjust staffing based on what, if people take the voluntary RIF or don't take the voluntary RIF.
Can I ask a follow-up question?
Sure.
The
Did I
reason
answer your question as best as I could without pretty PowerPoints to show you how all the money
I was
moved?
looking for dollar amount, like a range or something, but maybe I'll wait till tomorrow to see the amount that we will try to save through this. But I want to make sure, are we trying to handle the deficit just with the personnel VRIF?
No,
or
not at all.
Other budget
Not at
cuts?
all.
So I wanted to understand what percentage is going here? in
Yeah,
VRIF?
and we
If
can,
you
this
have
is really a bigger budget discussion, and I'm sure everybody has them, but no, the answer is far from no. Every single department put people last and did every effort they could to reduce their coffee fund, reduce their paper copy, photocopying funds. Every effort has been made to trim and cut back wherever we can.
And also, since the resident brought up about the public safety, that's a major concern I had at my at the committee meeting too. So if you could briefly go over that again for everyone, that would be
I think
great.
we're going to wait till the budget discussion and just keep it to this agenda item, which is the voluntary RIF. And it's just a motion to approve or disapprove so we can offer a softer landing to people.
Thank you.
Alderman Nunez.
So as I'm reading through the voluntary RIF, we have that 2-week window from the 15th tomorrow to the 31st of October, and then those employees will have the option to stay with the city or choose a departure date on or before December 1st of this year.
Correct.
Which is why it's budgeted within this year, correct?
Correct.
So what would it cost us to allow you all to speak with the rest of the unions on Friday, give them the opportunity to express what they may want to bring to the table, and then resume this conversation next week? We've had special city councils called already, and at least this gives them the opportunity who take care of all of us on a day-to-day basis to bring something to the table.
That would really be a budget issue. That's not an HR issue. That's not something that I can answer for you. I'm just, that's the timeline that was set forth. So
We need to have the council's approval before we can even offer it to the unions on Friday. I mean, we need to have approval from this body that says you're okay with us authorizing to even have the meeting. If something comes out of that and we feel that there's a need for a special meeting, we can certainly address it at the next council meeting or at a special meeting should it need. And you asked the question about cost. It does cost all of us to come in here, so there is a cost. It's not a huge cost, but I weigh it every time we consider a special meeting. Alderman Franco.
I'm just wondering what the downside of having a voluntary situation like this would be, because if you don't want it, you don't have to go, right? If you don't want it, you don't have to go. So I'm trying to figure out why there would be any angst with this, because I don't want to go, I'm not going. Next, move on. So I'm just trying to figure that out, why we wouldn't just provide it, give them a choice. I mean, so this discussion is kind of surprising, I guess.
I think everybody has questions about the budget and wants to know more, both staff, our employees, and certainly the council, and certainly the public. So, but if we could, I agree that it's time to refine it just to this issue. I don't know, Alderwoman Smith, if you had a question on the VRIF.
Yeah, I guess I'm going through what everybody else here is going through, that, you know, just the thought about removing more employees is very difficult for us, and very heartfelt as well. You know, I understand why we would possibly want to go through this part of it. My fear is, you know, this part of it's going to lead, if this part of it isn't big enough, no offense, but I feel like it's going to, you know, lead you guys into just started cutting people. And, you know, that's
the urgency.
that's the urgency, because you need to get to that point. And I guess there's no safety net in waiting to hear or have conversation with the unions first before we have this. You're saying you need to be able to offer this, you need to have the yes before you can even offer this to people.
We would like to, yes, have the council's approval.
You would like to, or you need to?
We need
Well,
to.
in conversations with them, they want a concrete, is this happening discussion. We did have some pre-meetings before. We had a pre-meeting as a group, and they wanted more certainty. They wanted to know that this was approved by council, that this was the direction we were going. And so for us to meet with them again on Friday to say, hey, here's the outline of what we're proposing, but it hasn't been approved yet, they are going to want to come back to the table and discuss it. They want us to come with what their option is, so that then they can take it back to their members and make a decision.
So my final thought with that is that, you said you're coming tomorrow with us with a budget that'll be $2.5 million deficit. It looks like the decisions have been overall made. Does that include what we're talking about here?
If we approve this, and if people accept it, there can be adjustments made after that. Does that make sense? But we had to come up with proposals and numbers to print the budget. So in theory, we could have started this process 2 months ago, gone through the VRIF process, and it would have made it easier to go through the whole budget process. But there's going to be a lot of adjustments that get made. But if we wait any longer on this, it simply becomes unrealistic to even offer it, right? You just have to move forward with the choices.
All right, thank you.
Okay, with no further questions, I'll ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Alderman Barrero?
Yes.
Alderwoman Garza?
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos?
Yes.
Alderman Nunez?
No.
Alderman Franco?
Yes.
Alderman Seville?
Yes.
Alderman Benuelos?
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith?
No.
Alderman Bug?
Yes.
Alderwoman Babe? No. Alderman Larson?
Yes.
8 yes, 3 no.
Motion carries. This resolution is adopted. Next, we have one more agenda item. I believe Alderwoman Smith pulled off of the consent agenda. I'll ask the clerk to please read that agenda item now and have a discussion on it.
250732, a resolution authorizing Sun Life Insurance to provide life insurance services for January 1st, 2026 through December 31st, 2026.
Is there a motion on this agenda item?
So moved.
Motion by Alderman Franco. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderwoman Bade. And I know there's going to be some questions or discussion. Alderwoman Smith, go ahead.
So the reason why I put this on unfinished is because there's a 33-page attachment to this item, and we didn't get that 33-page attachment until about 3:30 this afternoon. And it takes me longer than that to do due diligence, and when I've looked at everything on these pages, and planned my time to make sure that I knew about what was coming in front of me, and I quite frankly just didn't have the time to do my due diligence to look at this. So from my perspective, I would ask to put this on hold so that we all can have time to look at this item and think it through and ask the appropriate questions. I don't think we should be expected to respond to these very important issues in such a short period of time, and we need to be respectful to one another so that we can be prepared as we sit here. So that is my issue. So I am motioning that we hold this item for 2 weeks.
There's a motion to hold the agenda item for a 2-week period. Second by Alderman Seville. Short discussion. If I could ask Dr. Caputo to explain if there is any urgency along this timeline, and potential support from HR.
Brian Caputo, Director of Operations Management. I apologize for that. Apparently it was an administrative error that it didn't get on there previously. But it's not a problem because this is a benefit which the employees don't opt for, they just get, and we can bind it in time for
Thank you.
the next year. It's not a
Thank you. It's
problem.
important to look through it. Thank you.
Sure.
So we don't take a vote on this. If we got two people that want to hold it, we have to hold it.
Or you can table it.
We can table it. Hold it, table it, call it what you want to call it.
I don't think there's going to be much resistance to,
Okay.
if you want to make a motion to table it.
I will revise my motion. I will motion to table it for 2 weeks and then.
So motion was made to table the agenda item for 2 weeks, seconded by Alderman Seville. Is there any other questions or comments on this agenda item? I'll ask the clerk to please call the roll.
No, we don't vote.
Point of information.
Alderman
Does
Barrero
this
has.
require a vote, or just, she can just
Doesn't require a
hold
vote.
it?
Does not require a vote.
No, you can just
Okay. Do you want me to do that? If there's no objection, I'd like to just get a voice vote to table. All in favor?
No,
I'm sorry, go
point
ahead.
of order. You don't.
Any opposed?
You don't. You don't make it.
If there's, so if you move to table in second, there's usually a voice vote, or he can ask if there's any objection to tabling that, which is,
Look,
it
so
operates the same as a.
Procedurally, how we've done it in this room is if two aldermen have asked to hold or table, your choice of the words, an item, it gets held. If you're asking to a vote, you're saying that the vote could overpower our request to table. And that's not the point. The point is, we get the opportunity to be able to do that and not have a vote. It's not something that happens very often, but it does happen.
I'll just explain my thought process. It's the same function to hold it.
Yes.
We didn't bring up the rule number. I don't know the rule number. I didn't want to ask the corporate counsel to go digging for the rule number for your motion.
Yeah, I've had. the rule
If
number
you remember the rule number and you want to go that route, that's fine. I'm not, it carries the same function.
There
If
is a
it's
rule
okay with you,
number,
Alderwoman,
yes,
we can
yes.
just table it. That'd be great.
Yes, that's fine.
Can I make a comment?
Go ahead, Alderman.
This is twice tonight that we're not quite sure about the rules, and I don't think we have discretion on that. I think that the rules are the rules, and I don't care what we did in the past, I don't care what we do in the future. We have to do what the rules call for. Not a big deal what you're talking about, but going forward, we've got to figure this out. Because I don't want to be sitting here, she says the rules are one thing and we did it this way, that's not how it works. So if we can, going forward, not tonight obviously, kind of get straight on some of this stuff. So we're always doing the same thing, regardless of what administration there. It's just cleaner, it's just better, that's all.
And that was a point to try and make it cleaner and better, to table it. And I agree with you, actually. We could have, at the previous Cal meeting, asked Alderman Barrero to make the motion at that time. He wanted to prepare the motion, so.
But as I hear some of these comments, I'm like, I'm still not sure which way we're going on the rule. So I just want to, if we can get that solidified, because I'm sure it's written down somewhere in all the things we do, it almost makes me question what we have been doing since I've been on the city council. Things are a little different now. So I just want to clean it up a little bit, whatever it is, all that kind of stuff.
Yep. There are two ways to hold it, as Alderwoman had said in our rules. I'm not familiar with the numbers. Alderwoman Smith's not.
There is a motion, there's a rule that I should have had it ready, that I could have said, I'd like to go through rule number, blah, 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 to table this, and that would have been what I should have done.
Is there a motion to suspend the rules to consider items under new business?
So moved.
Motion made by Alderman Franco, seconded by Alderman Nunez. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman Barrero.
Yes.
Alderwoman Garza.
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos.
Yes.
Alderman Nunez.
Yes.
Alderman Franco.
Yes.
Alderman Seville.
Yes.
Alderman Benuelos.
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith.
Yes.
Alderman Bug.
Yes.
Alderwoman Bade.
Yes.
Alderman Larson.
Yes.
11 yes, 0 no.
Okay, motion carries. We are entering the new business section of the agenda. I'll ask clerk to please read the first item under new business.
250775, a resolution financially supporting city safe routes to school projects in school districts 129, 131, 204, and 308, using primarily ward funds for any city local share.
Motion was made by Alderwoman Smith, seconded by Alderman Seville. Are there any questions or discussion regarding this agenda item?
Mayor Lesh.
Alderman Barrero.
I'd just like to comment on the city staff for looking out for these grants and putting the paperwork together to try to obtain these funds for our residents. Thank you.
Agreed. Alderman Nunez.
I'd like to echo my colleagues' comments. Just thank you to Rich Jacobs and the Alderman's office, Jason Bauer, his team, and then Superintendent Halverson and his team for moving so quickly through this process. So this was a matter of days that we all got this together, so thank you all.
Yep, I agree. Outstanding work. Thank you, Jason. Any other questions? Alderwoman Bade.
Mr. Mayor, can we ask Jason a question? If whatever we are budgeting and if we go over budget, can we also check with schools if they want to participate in these grants?
Sure.
Are you talking about for the upfront engineering costs?
Yeah.
I mean, certainly if you would want to do that, but once we get a little further along in the process and we know exactly what those dollar amounts are going to be for each individual project, then we'll be able to give you all a much better picture of what you'll need to commit from your award funds.
And also the overall project?
Yeah, the overall project is, that's all going to be motor fuel tax. So
Okay.
whatever the grant doesn't cover, we'll be matching those with MFT. We only ask for the award funds for the Phase 1 and Phase 2 engineering. Phase 3 engineering and construction will all be MFT.
Okay. Because
Any
I
other-
don't remember we did this last time when we were looking outside Granger.
Yeah, this is a new process. I think the last call, we tried to go along the same lines. We do have a project, well, we have 3 projects that are underway right now from, I believe it's 2 cycles ago. But last cycle, we switched to the ward funds because ward-funded projects typically are the sidewalk filling and things of those nature. So we changed that, and this is the first time we've actually, will be submitting under those new guidelines.
Okay. Thank you, Jason.
Again, I'd like to echo, thank April from the Grants Department, who did a great job securing this, and the creative work by the Engineering Department to come up with a way to use Alderman funds to meet needs in a ward is certainly one of the creative ways we've been able to continue to move forward given the budget situation. Any other questions? Okay, I'll ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Alderman Barrero?
Yes.
Alderwoman Garza?
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos?
Yes.
Alderman Nunez?
Yes.
Alderman Franco?
Yes.
Alderman Seville?
Yes.
Alderman Benuelos?
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith?
Yes.
Alderman Bug?
Yes.
Alderwoman Bade?
Yes.
Alderman Larson?
Yes.
11 yes, 0 no.
Motion carries. This agenda item is approved. I'll ask clerk to please read the next agenda item.
250794, a resolution authorizing the city to accept a grant award of $2 million from the State of Illinois Community Development Block Grant Coronavirus Healthy Houses Program to preserve up to 6 unit per site landlord-owned residential properties for low and moderate income residents and encourage neighborhood revitalization with an emphasis on maintaining health and safety.
Okay, is there a motion to approve this item? Motion made by Alderwoman Bade, or sorry, Alderwoman Smith. Motion by Alderwoman Bade, seconded by Alderwoman Smith. Okay, any questions or discussion from the council, or does anybody want a short presentation? We certainly have a few minutes to go through it, but it's been a long night already.
Question quickly. Is that $2 million grant, is there any money from the city that we have to use in addition to that? Or is it all grant money?
It is all grant money. Are you presenting, Amy? The city's portion. So the grant money goes to the property owner, the landlord. The city side, and the burden on the city is to qualify the renters in that building for it. So it qualifies for low income.
But not necessarily
buildings.
money out of pocket, just time spent.
It's not
on
money out of
doing it.
pocket, it's just, and we did, one of the delays was making sure we would have adequate staff
Sure.
available to process these grants, because it will take some time.
Thank you.
Alderman Seville.
Yeah, I don't know if to ask you or Amy, but is this a new program that we've not taken advantage of before?
That's correct. This is a one-time opportunity that was offered through the state. And so this one is a little bit different from our other city housing rehab programs in that those programs are generally for owner-occupied housing. And this one is actually for rental housing.
Great, thank you.
Welcome.
Any other questions? Alderwoman Bade?
Mayor, I don't know if she was going to give us a presentation. It's not attached to our Legistar. If we want to go through it, or if you can send it to us, whatever.
Are you prepared to do that? And does the council want to spend time on it?
Yeah, I'm happy to do it, but I know I'll leave it to the council if you feel.
If you'd like to see a presentation, we can go through it.
Or if she can email it to us later or attach it to Legistar.
Yep, we can do both.
I vote for the email.
Let me ask a question. Does anybody want the presentation here tonight? Seeing none, we have a motion and a second. I'll ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Alderman Barrero?
Yes.
Alderwoman Garza?
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos?
Yes.
Alderman Nunez?
Yes.
Alderman Franco?
Yes.
Alderman Seville?
Yes.
Alderman Benuelos?
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith?
Yes.
Alderman Bug?
Yes.
Alderwoman Babe?
Yes.
Alderman Larson?
Yes.
11 yes, 0 no.
Motion carries. This agenda item is approved. Thank you, Amy.
Thank you, and we'll ensure it's
And
emailed.
everybody in Community Services has worked very hard on this. The next agenda item was prepared for a potential amendment, just in case they wanted to divide. So I don't know if we want to make a motion and second and vote this agenda item down and clear it off the table.
I would ask legal, do we have to do that since we've already addressed it somewhere else? I guess, you know, the common sense part of that.
You need a motion and a second for that?
To strike it?
Yep.
No, you already considered it. I don't think you need a motion to strike.
Well, this is a new agenda item under new business. What's the process for removing it from the agenda?
You can just remove it from the agenda. If there's no objection, you can amend the agenda with no objection.
Okay. If there's no objection from the council, we'll remove this agenda item. Is there any council member who objects to removing agenda item 250814? Hearing no objection, we'll remove this item from the agenda. I'll ask clerk to please read the next agenda item.
250820, a resolution authorizing the expenditure of special service area tax funds in a total aggregate amount not to exceed $50,000, and the provision of staff support for the purposes of organizing an independent not-for-profit organization to render special services within Special Service Area 1.
So staff has prepared a short presentation. I don't know how many council members this is being walked on as new business. It's just to effectively reestablish Aurora downtown to be funded by SSA 1. If the council would like to go through a short presentation to better understand it. I see Alderwoman Bade. I'll let you proceed.
Good evening, Council. Nicholas Richard Thompson, Deputy Chief of Staff for the Mayor's Office. So,
no, you're good. I was going to ask Danielle to go over to the other mic.
As the Mayor said, this is essentially establishing, or rather reestablishing, an entity similar to downtown Aurora with some slight configurations. If we can go to the next slide. So essentially what we're wanting to do is, after a series of downtown town halls and consulting and working with business owners and property owners, there was a request for this to restore some of the economic activity down there and some of the events and marketing and management and assistance. And what we found were that there were just some differences in what they wanted for this future organization, but essentially would be doing a lot of what historically Aurora Downtown has done. A little background, like I said, the business owners, the property owners came to the city, came to the town halls. Danielle's worked diligently with them, doing surveys, getting feedback by mail and in person through email, trying to get as much information as we can. And some of the kind of findings we had, if we can go to the next slide. The next one. There we go. Where these are what kind of emerged from some of the conversations, right? They wanted a hybrid model, right? As Danielle working out of the new Office of Economic Development and Sustainability to be kind of a coordinator to work with the future establishment of Aurora Downtown with their director or coordinator to oversee some of the beautification, the vacancy activation, events and marketing, the safety, cleanliness and perception, the parking access and transparency and governance. These were all things that came up as themes throughout the town halls, and have been recurring kind of themes that the business owners and property owners are seeking out of an entity such as Aurora Downtown. If we can go to the next slide. So I think this is probably the wrong presentation. We have a map that I wanted to show you of the SSA one, but we'll make sure we get that to you unless.
You guys have it too, a printout of it in front of you, the updated version that has the map.
Mayor, there's only one version of the map on here. There's reference of a second updated one, but there's no.
There's one version of the map?
Just one, yeah, on both.
There
sheets.
should be only one version.
Yeah, there's only one
You got the right
version.
one then, yeah.
It would need to be changed when the new board is put into place.
Consider expanding SSA 1 boundaries, include more members. See next slide.
Yeah, that's the right one. You have the right one. So yeah, what
You've
we're
got
talking
the right
about.
one. That is the existing SSA 1 map. There's only one SSA 1.
There's
I
only
actually
one.
didn't
There's-
get a map, so.
Yeah, so we'll get to that point.
Oh,
Yep.
sorry.
Yeah.
I was just confused when I was reading that. Thank you.
Yeah, no. That is the correct map. There is questions, and this is why we're coming kind of tonight asking for authorization to proceed with this establishment. There may be a desired expansion of SSA 1 that also came up at the town halls. Many folks who are outside of the SSA 1 have talked to us and are wanting to be a part of it. And so we want to make sure we work diligently because that's up in 2026 actually. So it's coming up pretty soon. And then as you all probably know, we administered services from the Alliance to cover for First Fridays until the end of the year. Some of the business owners came to us and were concerned about that, saying they don't really want to lapse or gap in some of the work that's being done. So we kind of expedited this. We were doing, like I said before, Danielle working diligently to do the surveys, get the information, and make sure we're doing all of our work. But with conversations with the business owners, we wanted to make sure we kind of expedited the timeline, essentially. And for this, the additional takeaways really from the stakeholders, what they shared with us is that they wanted an independent kind of structure from the legacy organizations such as the Alliance. They wanted support of a hybrid management model. So, the stakeholders wanted to work with someone from the city, but still have that autonomy with their board and their voting structures and their board kind of composition. But what they are asking is assistance with some of the legal setup and some of that administrative kind of background work. And what we're asking for is to utilize funds from the SSA, so not anything from the general funds, to assist them in that process to establish that so they have the autonomous organization similar to the previous downtown Aurora. The only major changes are a lot of it has been questions about the partnership between the city and transparency and the governance. And once we do move forward and we get their outside legal counsel, which is what they're requesting, then they would work to kind of write those bylaws and work on those articles of incorporation. With that, I'll pass it to Danielle to talk about her role and kind of like what that relationship looks like between the city and then the, if it were to be established, the Aurora Downtown organization.
Hi, everyone. I'm Danielle Tofano, the Downtown Economic Development Manager. Really what we're looking to do here is to create this self-sustaining, independent, and self-governing nonprofit organization to really represent the downtown community that operates separate from the city. So the purpose of this would be to support downtown's economic development and revitalization. So they're going to act as a partner with us here at the City of Aurora on downtown initiatives. So we're talking marketing, event planning, advocacy. So basically what we're trying to do is recreate Aurora Downtown, which a lot of you are familiar with, but with a lot more transparency to their bylaws, which is what we heard a lot in those town halls that we held in June. So if we go to the next slide, when we talk about transparency, a lot of it had to do with financial transparency. So this new organization would be responsible with presenting us with an annual budget, and they would need to be required to do that in order to access the SSA 1 funds. And also that brings along some accountability on their end. So an annual audit will be required in order to access those funds. The partnership that they have with the city and the administrative support, we will provide that administrative support, especially on the front end when we're setting up or supporting them as they set up their nonprofit to get their attorney in line, which we'll talk more about that in just a moment, in a portion of the SSA funded budget supporting that administrative cost. In the next slide. So how we're all going to do this is using the SSA1 funds to cover up the startup costs. And I do want to make sure that we're completely clear to everyone that's in front of me, everyone that's behind me, and everybody that's watching on the TV or on video, that this is not going to touch the general funds. So if a lot of you that are sitting here are probably familiar with how the SSA works, but if you're new or you're not familiar, downtown property owners pay a tax into the special service area, and that fund goes to support an organization previously like Aurora Downtown. So it's separate from the general fund, and these funds are specifically for support for the downtown community. It's for these special services like event planning, marketing, advocacy, and beautification. So these SSA1 funds that we're requesting are going to help the founding members hire an attorney to incorporate, to get their EIN, and to draft their bylaws. So in order to remain sustainable as an organization, we're going to submit an annual budget to you to review, including administration and legal fees, and also they want to consider expanding their boundaries. So we've been speaking a lot with the downtown community, and since the SSA1 boundaries were formed, we have a lot of new businesses in the downtown area. We have people on River Street, we have 110 Cross Street, we have, even the Roundhouse is not currently in SSA1. We want to be able to expand the boundaries to include those businesses in this organization that we're working to build. And so yes, that map does not currently include that, but that would be one priority that we would recommend to the newly formed board, to expand the boundaries, work with their attorney to get that done as one of their first priorities.
To be clear, that is not what we are voting on tonight, and
No.
any expansion of SSA1 would require better engagement from the businesses that we're seeking to expand into.
Correct.
This is just to put some seed money, startup for attorneys' fees to establish the organization.
Correct. This is more just to make sure that you understand what we're trying to do and to keep you abreast of the situation. So I know that there might be some questions as far as our relationship with this newly formed organization. So I'll be working closely with them. The city will be working in partnership with them, helping with a lot of the administrative roles with setting up that 501c4, overseeing their budget process, strategic planning and oversight when it comes to marketing and event planning, a lot of their board logistics. I'll be their liaison to all of the departments within the city, because we do have quite a few departments. We do have quite a few employees working here. So when they say, who do I go to for permits? Who do I go to for this? Rather than worrying about the multiple divisions and departments, they can come to me and I can direct them in the right way, and also helping with their board meetings. Roles and responsibilities for the Aurora Downtown Association, their coordinator that would eventually be hired as an employee, handling their day-to-day operations, the communications with the stakeholders in the downtown, their database management, and by that we mean what businesses are downtown, who's the contact, who are the property owners, sharing that information with the city, contracting vendors, and by that we mean their auditor, vendors for holiday events, their holiday trolley that they do, a lot of their First Friday events that they put on, making sure that they contract with those vendors, planning and executing marketing and events like First Fridays and those events that we love, and bringing in new events to help revitalize our downtown, and then submitting those reports to the city of Aurora. And then obviously we'll have some shared responsibilities, which you'll see there, obviously remaining financially transparent, reporting to stakeholders, strategic planning, and supporting their board. So how are we going to do all this? So what we are here today is requesting SSA1 tax funds, and we're covering the startup costs for forming this independent nonprofit organization. The funds will cover the legal costs, accounting and consulting services, so we can get bylaws done, we can do governance policies, and we can do tax-exempt applications to help start this nonprofit to support the downtown. All expenditures will be paid directly by the city to the vendors, so we can make sure that everything is transparent, and city staff will make sure to be there to support and provide assistance as we go along through this whole process. So that's our presentation, and we hope to have your support, and we are here to answer any questions.
Questions from the council? Alderman Masiacos first, and then who on this side? Okay, Alderman Masiacos.
A little bit of clarity.
financially. So I understand the legal part, the accounting part. What type of fees are you looking for accounting, and what type of fees for consulting services?
So in speaking with corporate counsel, we anticipate these initial costs being between $5,000 and $10,000, and correct me if I'm wrong. I know that the number on the paperwork that you received did say up to $50,000. That was more of a threshold number that you saw. But these initial fees are anticipated to be between $5,000 and $10,000 for this outside counsel to assist this outside organization in getting everything started.
And then to also add to the question, I think we've made preliminary like conversations, but we didn't want to move forward with like getting quotes, if that's what you're asking, until we got the authorization to do anything. So that's why we don't have like any numbers, if that's what you're asking for.
You know what, it just sounds like 50,000 a little steep to set it up when it's all said and done, because this money, you know, potentially, my thought is you put the money out there, there's a temptation to use it. And that's the biggest concern here. With the 50,000, I mean, that's a considerable difference.
There could also
percentage-wise.
probably be a limit put on it if that would make council
Yeah.
comfortable.
And that's where I'm going to go. I wouldn't want to put a limit on it. I wouldn't mind coming down to 15,000 for this resolution. But since you brought it up in regards to expanding the SSA 1 down the road in terms of a discussion, you said that SSA 1 does not come out of, we know that it doesn't come out of the general fund. But if you expand SSA 1, there'll be less dollars coming into our general fund. Is that correct or incorrect? Right?
No, so with the SSA 1, and I can be corrected, it's an additional tax, so they'll still be paying the tax, but it's the
So
SSA 1 is
therefore,
additional.
you're gonna go out and you're gonna try to recruit them, and what happens down the road if they don't wanna be in it and they don't wanna pay it?
So there has to be a public hearing.
Okay.
And we could move forward, and every person who would be impacted or body that would be impacted is allowed to speak at the public hearing. So we wouldn't really be able to do that. We've had preliminary conversations with some of the businesses that Danielle mentioned, and they want to be a part of the SSA 1, but let's say we expand it in a way that was impacting a party that just did not want to be, they would not have to be. And we would have to hold a public hearing to do so.
This is actually happening at a really great time too, because the current SSA is set to expire in 2026. So as we're getting ready to re-up
Okay.
all these conversations are happening at a good time.
Now, I know there's gonna be more discussion here on the subject matter, but I'm gonna put it on the table and let the discussion go on its own as well. Motion to reduce it to $15,000 on this resolution.
There's a motion on the floor to reduce the amount from 50,000 to 15,000. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderwoman Garza. I know that there's probably going to want to be some discussion on the whole agenda item, but if there is discussion on just this motion, I'll entertain other council members' questions.
Question.
Alderman Franco.
So we came up with 50, and I think they said something about 5 or 10. So I guess I want to know how we got from 5 to 10 to 50, because I want to make sure that 15 works. Seems like a big jump. So were there any other costs in there that we anticipated that we're not talking about? Because that is a big leap.
I'm going to answer this. Because we've already wandered way too far trying to give a bigger picture of what we're trying to do here. To get up and running, 15,000 will do the trick.
It will.
If you recall, there's been a contract in the past where we have semi-annual payments into SSA 1. This is the a tax only on these business owners in this map. And you know, once the organization is set up, we'll probably come back to the council once they have their bylaws adopted, a budget, and how they plan to use it. There is significant amount of money in that, in the SSA 1 fund that could be used for downtown redevelopment, as well as making sure that we're maintaining and holding all of our First Friday events and downtown window decorating contests and things that have been done in the past. So we can get up and going for 15. That's not going to be a problem. But then just know that they will be coming back to the council with some sort of structured regular payment. And then the city also draws from SSA 1 funds. And it's really been a partnership over the years with downtown services, periodically drawing from this fund as well.
Right. Okay.
Other questions? I know Alderman Spill had one, but Alderwoman Bade.
So this is a independent nonprofit organization. and my understanding is we are committing city staff, legal and accounting and maybe other resources. So typically, if it's an independent nonprofit, we are helping this particular group, but what about other people who want to have independent nonprofit organizations?
That's a great question. Actually, so to clarify exactly what we're looking to do here is to your point, to actually separate this. So this money that we're hoping to pull out of SSA 1, the fund initially, is to hire an outside counsel to make it transparent so they can hire their own counsel. Because eventually the plan would be for this newly formed organization to come to an agreement with the city of Aurora for somebody like me who is the downtown person, the downtown liaison, to help them with things and help them with board support. And so it wouldn't be a great look for us to set up the organization with an organization that we're going to be under agreement with in the future. So that's why we're wanting them to hire their own attorney and set up these bylaws independently, so eventually they could come into an agreement with us, so there's full transparency. So the extent of our legal team helping us was just Jordana helping with the initial, how do we do this? Giving us some advice on how to kind of set this up and have the outside organization set this up, and then giving some recommendations of some attorneys that this outside organization can start speaking with.
So you will be the liaison or the board member?
As far as I'm concerned, that would be up to the organization as far as how they write their bylaws. I would be at their board meetings, but as far as who would be voting board members, that would depend on how they write their bylaws.
Okay, and area, where is Alliance and this in place? Is there an overlap in services both these organizations will be providing, or they're absolutely separate?
The Alliance would cease to do the work of Aurora downtown, and this organization would take that over, those functions.
So there is also part of events, and we have events board. So are they going to work together, or they're going to do two different things?
It'll work probably similarly to how it has worked in the past, where there will be their own events to continue, and a board that sets out its own agenda. Again, remember, this is effectively their money. It's their tax money that they want a greater say in how that money is spent to support their businesses. So this is giving some level of governance and transparency to those members who are paying an SSA 1 tax.
Okay, and the last thing was, this was brought as new business and never discussed at committee. Was there any urgency of?
The only urgency is to make sure that we have new board, new rules, new organization, hired a person that can pick up and do the work that the Alliance is currently doing, some members of the Alliance are currently doing.
Okay,
And we want to get it, our goal was to actually have it by September. The question and the back and forth has been over the transparency component and the actual structure, so that's why they wanted to move to adopt and function on their own. But it's their money, so.
Okay, thank you.
Alderman Seville has had his hand up for a while.
Yes, that was actually my question as well, that Alderwoman Bade asked, was why this didn't go to a committee, I guess, first, for thorough discussion to be vetted accordingly, and then forwarded with a recommendation to the Committee of the Whole and City Council. So, and I understand it's their money, establishing SSAs, they have a right to object to the amount that would be taxed on them. They have not done that, but they have historically been in favor of being taxed specifically for their uses in the downtown, very successfully since the 1970s, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but is there a reason why this can't be going to committee first, besides everybody wanting it to move forward?
Not necessarily wanting it to move forward. I mentioned this earlier, but there's just two timelines that the business owners are wanting us to expedite in urgency. The one is in 2026, the redistricting of the SSA is coming up. So we'd like to have this aligned with that so that they can expand it. And then two, setting up an organization, this takes time, filing with the state, and we have no control over how long that takes sometimes. So it's trying to get ahead of it. As the mayor mentioned, We wanted to have this out by September, but through some of the conversations around transparency, we're really trying to be thorough with the community. And, we did put it on new business, and there is, in my mind, a little bit of urgency just after talking with some of the business owners. And then again, in 3 months or the end of the year, services for First Fridays will end. So we're trying to have those two timelines of the redistricting, the possible expansion of SSA1, as well as ensuring that they don't have a lapse in services. The business owners are already kind of struggling with activity. They'd like to see First Fridays continue to support that. So we're really trying to meet those timelines and those requests from the community and the business owners and property owners.
I'll just say publicly, I mean, we've got five items on new business here. I'm aware of it. The one certainly required it because they needed a signature. We found out a signature by tonight. But this, it probably just helps them move a little bit faster along. Alderman Spill has a follow-up.
Just one more question on the map. I see the corner of Lincoln and Spring is not included in here. Was it included in the previous map? I see that it has this yellowish color to it.
I can check on that and get back to you.
Okay, I'm just curious.
I believe, is that an old map that comes from the original SSA one?
Yes,
Because that does have,
but I can circle back with you.
I think it's the former Michael's Lumber, and then I think there's a Mexican restaurant there as well in the corner, the other corner. So I'm just kind of curious, since it is designated commercial, why it would not be, what the reason would be not to include it. So.
I just received a list of all the pins currently in SSA1, and I'm combing through all of them from GIS. I just received them, so I can double check with that too.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Alderwoman Smith.
So I'm struggling with procedure. I guess that's been my story of the night. We have a procedure here. We have committees here. We have COW here, and then we have council here. And Nick, this is not the first time you've skipped straight to this part. And I really feel that you need to be a little more respectful to this council. This is a great idea. The First Fridays were best when this concept was going on. And it's a great idea for you to bring it back. But it really is a hard pill to swallow when you don't give us time to process and think about things, and you put them in front of us the day of or the day before. I really feel like, one, you're taking advantage of us, two, a bit disrespectful. We have procedures, and I really, really believe that, John, you need to.
I'm the one that made the choice to accelerate it. I just want to be clear about it.
Then I really would prefer, and again, I know I've been a pain in the neck tonight, and I'm not going to apologize for it, but we have processes and procedures. And this could have gone through committee. This could have gone through this deserves the time, the effort, and in the community to hear it, instead of sitting there and shoving it down our throat, and that's not necessary. And I don't think, how are we going to work together? We're all trying to, jive together here and get a good flow going, but you've got to work with us too, and it's got to come both ways. So this is a great, but I'm not going to vote in favor of it because you can't follow procedures. So if we're voting tonight, that's where my vote's going to be. I think it's wonderful. I will support it, but I don't think you guys should be jumping over the processes. It's just wrong. We're here for a reason.
I just had a quick question. Why was the Aurora downtown dissolved? The original, the first non-for-profit.
So that's a great question. So they did file their paperwork every year, and David Debo, do you want to come up because you had a conversation about this the other day? You might be able to speak a little bit more in depth about this.
I think in the discussion about whether that they were going to be part of that alliance, which they decided not to be. There was some litigation going on. They didn't want that same entity, so they let that lapse with the Secretary of State. So there is no entity at this time.
Alderman Nunez.
So there was an article in the Beacon yesterday that describes a group that's already been organized of volunteers, and then there's more detail around the makeup of the board. Just curious as to two questions, right? Why wasn't that included in tonight's presentation, or I must have missed it? The other question I have is it possible to get a list of those who were sent letters to participate in this as well? And I'll save the rest for...
To the list
Could
of
you
all-
just talk about the list, right?
Sure, the list of all the downtown stakeholders, is that what you're looking, so a list?
There was a
so-
letter sent out regarding this plan.
Sure.
Could we get a list of every business that was sent this letter to be
Sure.
invited to participate?
Yes.
And then could you elaborate more on the board makeup, because it's as a 7-3-4 split, then there's some other seats.
So that was the recommendation based on the town halls. This will also be determined based off of when the board is formed and when they start forming their own bylaws. So that letter went out to all the emails that we have on file for downtown businesses and also all of the mailing addresses that we have for downtown. I'm happy to provide that to you if there's.
Could you also
quite a bit-
provide who responded?
Yes, so the ones that were interested in board positions. So we have Bernie from Craft Urban, Yura from Color Salon and Suites, Claudia from La Quinta, Rick Sanchez from Legacy Nutrition, Travis Andre from Old Second Bank, Dan Heights, who owns properties, and Amy Jackson from The Perch. And I can email those.
If we can get that,
names to you.
yeah, that'd be
no
great.
problem. Mhm.
Alderman Barrero.
Mayor Lash, it just seems like deja vu because I recall when we had a discussion on contracting services with the Alliance in order to spend dollars for the SSA #1 because there is no Aurora downtown. And I asked the question, why only go through December 31st of this year? Why not a longer period? And now here we are playing, operate under time constraints because we have to get this done now because we didn't extend that to a longer period. That's kind of frustrating to be here asking questions and then we don't really get a good answer. But now here we are again trying to address the same issue in a roundabout way with an organization that hasn't been created yet. So that's my frustration with this, John, because it doesn't seem, you guys are talking about transparency, but it seems like we're shuffling, moving things around and not being clear as to what are we voting on and why. And we haven't got an answer as to the Alliance. Why don't we have a relationship with the Alliance? My understanding is the Aurora Downtown Board decided as a board to be part of the Alliance, and now we're hearing differently. So because we have this tonight and we have to decide tonight, we don't have time to talk to those businesses and ask follow-up questions.
Brian, do you
And
have a
so-
minute to?
So that's what's frustrating.
Brian Caputo, Director of Operations Management. I can speak to the Alliance direction. The administration would like to pursue a course where the economic development function is brought back in-house like it had been historically, and that the chamber have more of a traditional chamber role. So you're probably aware that changed in the last several years where there was an attempt to try to merge all these organizations together. That is not the preference of the current administration. So right now we are in talks with the leadership of the Alliance to go back to the traditional structure which I described. We're about ready to start those talks. So far, it looks like there's really not a lot of objection to going to that direction. So what's happening with the SSA really, I think, should be treated as a bit of a separate activity in terms of the downtown, related to what's going on, of course, with the chamber and what we'll be doing internally with economic development. But I think it's more akin to what you may have seen, several years ago. Hopefully, though, more robust in the current environment.
I'll just add briefly to that, the discussions with the Alliance and ongoing discussions is part of the delay process that's been part of this. But the original timeline was to be done by the end of September and reach this point by the end of September. Alderman Seville.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, based on the discussion that we're all hearing here and some of us are voicing, I would really feel more comfortable if we could refer this item to the appropriate subcommittee of the City Council for further discussion with a recommendation coming forward to the next regularly scheduled committee of the whole.
You want to move that to the RAP committee?
If that's the appropriate subcommittee, I do, yes, correct.
So there's currently a motion and a second on the floor to reduce the amount
To 15.
to $15,000 from 50 to 15. Do we need to vote on that?
Well, there's a motion to amend, and now there's a motion to refer to committee. So,
Can you turn your
thinking
mic?
about the
Can you
order.
turn your mic?
Oh, I'm just.
Can I add one thing that to talk about the timeline and the delay? We did have a lot of internal discussions on the best way to do this for transparency, whether it was doing an advisory committee or setting it up this way that we're presenting tonight. And so there were a lot of internal conversations that happened to best suit the downtown business community and make this as transparent as possible and support them. So aside from what the mayor has already alluded to, there have been a lot of internal conversations on the best way to do this and remain as transparent as possible. So that's part of the reason for the delay as well.
Okay, hold on. Mine isn't working. Just go
Oh.
with the procedure here.
Oh,
to-
oh, sorry. Okay, so, so the vote on whether, on to return it to, or send it to committee, needs to be handled first. So if there's a second, then we need a vote on that.
Can I ask to Chairify to move it to the RAP committee? To clarify the motion?
Or do we
Yes.
want to clarify I'm sorry.
If you're asking, me, do I want to go to the RAP committee, that would be the appropriate committee. Is that what you're asking?
I would think so.
Yeah, I think so too.
Okay.
Clarify your motion.
Is it?
Make a full motion.
Oh, I clarify my motion that it could be referred to the RAP committee.
Motion made by Alderman Spill,
Is that what you're looking for?
second by Alderman Franco. Okay, and do we need to deal with the $15,000 motion?
No, it's all going to committee,
Okay.
the whole item.
Call the, I'll ask clerk to please call the roll on this agenda item.
We're gonna have discussion? We're gonna,
On referring it to committee?
yes. No,
Go ahead.
I don't.
Go ahead. Go
Be
ahead.
honest with you. Okay, my head's spinning a little bit, I'll be honest
bit.
with you. So for council, isn't the original motion the one that we should be dealing with first?
Well, we have a motion and then a motion to amend and then a motion to
Send everything.
send everything back to committee.
Right. We're not dealing with the 15,000 reduction first?
So
Mayor, can I
the
help
discussion is on moving it back to committee.
Can I help out, Mayor? I'll take back my motion, take it off the table.
Alderman Mesiacos removes his motion. Who seconded that? Alderwoman Garza?
Yes.
Will remove her motion.
Okay. All right, I got a couple things to say. First of all, first thing I appreciate what you did tonight is you introduced yourself. We probably had 5 or 6 staff members step up and didn't introduce themselves. Guys, you gotta do it, because the people out there don't know who's talking. I get it all the time. The residents wanna know who's presenting. So we just gotta learn. We're 5 months in, 4 months in. Come up, introduce yourself, say your title and speak, okay? That's how we do it, all right. I think there was a little bit of confusion. Thankfully, Dr. Caputo's in the house, and he taught me everything I know about SSAs probably. SSAs are not taxes. They're different. The term special service assessment, that's a term in and of itself. And the word tax, totally separate thing, okay? Special service assessment, you can use those funds for special things only. Taxes are for general things. So I appreciate the whole presentation, but when you put those two words next to each other, they're conflicting and confusing, okay? So that's just out there, all right? Special service assessment and tax are separate things, okay? Our discussion on moving this back. I don't have a problem with moving things back. I don't have a problem with procedures. I have a problem with being consistent, though, okay? We received many things in new business in the past. Often, every meeting in new business. And rarely did we send anything back. So I just want to make it crystal clear that this is not done for other reasons. If we have a legitimate reason to move things forward quickly, that's when you use new business. There can be a request to send it back, but if the necessity for it to happen quickly oversees that, then that should be considered. But to say that we have a process and to send it back just because we have a process, that doesn't fly in our past history. We got new business items all the time, and we dealt with them in new business. So I'm gonna vote deal with this evening and not send it back. I think we have all the information.
There's a motion, we're having discussion on it.
And we have all the information. They want to create this. They want to do the first Fridays. They want to get them done. It's their money that they pay into. Not anyone else pays into this. So I would vote yes to let them move forward and set up their process, hire their attorney, and get moving forward.
The hang-up has been the ongoing discussions with the Alliance, just so everybody's aware. But Alderman Franco.
So I would agree with Alderman Bog that we do put things on new business typically. But if you look back, we had a number of meetings about the Alliance. And now the Alliance is disbanding. We're trying to figure out why. We don't know exactly how this is going to merge. And then we're presented with this tonight. So I think this is a different ballgame. I think there's so much information we don't have, and we want to know about all those things that are going on behind the scenes. I'd like to know how this whole board's going to go. I don't know that it can be answered tonight. It hasn't been answered yet, and that's okay. But that's why I think we need to spend a little bit more time, because there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes that I want to know about the Alliance. I want to know why that didn't work, the whole thing, and we can't vet it tonight. It's just too soon. So I understand new business, yes, but I think this is a different case. I think this is just more information we need to go forward. That's why I would be in favor of, at a minimum, going back to COW, but giving us more time to get information, that's all.
Further discussion on the motion to move it back to the RAP committee. Alderman Larson.
Thank you. If this were to go back to the RAP committee and it makes it through COW, how would it be, like early November that we would be passing this, and would that timeline be too short for all of the processes to be done to get this organization in place before January, when the Alliance stops taking over or stops running First Fridays?
It would be a huge challenge. We would have to continue the conversations as if there was voted on yes tonight.
Could we send it to Cal? Give us the opportunity to get our questions answered?
Hold on just a second. So the next council meeting is October 28th. That's Cal, right? No, Cal is, so it would get it done by October 28th.
next week to COW.
Can we have a special city council meeting that night afterwards?
On November 4th.
November 20, on October, well, the next meeting that you just mentioned, can be the host, the 20th of October. Have city
So
council
what you're
afterwards.
suggesting is the 21st COW, discuss it one more time, and then hold a special city council meeting afterwards?
Yeah.
It's just a week to get our questions answered.
That's enough time.
I just want to be clear about one thing, which is you're asking questions about the alliance. I don't think that you're going to have all the answers by the 21st or 28th. It's going to be a longer process to address that.
Well, even if we can gather some, I mean, the fact that the Beacon News had information that we didn't have tonight, that's a red flag. It just is. So if they got information, maybe we should invite them here. Christian, you with me on this one? I mean, that's just, to me, it's like, all right, something's missing there. So I want to make sure that we have everything. And I don't care if it's a COW or whatever, but throwing it as tonight, and what he said about that, I'm like, if I don't read the Beacon News, I don't know what's happening in Aurora, that's not going to work. So I would like us to have more time, whether it has to go rack to wrap, but just more time. So we could do a little bit more investigating, whether it's a week or 2 weeks, I just don't. And if you're talking October 28th, I would ask them, is that enough time for us to get this done by the first of the year?
That might be a question for corporate counsel as far as a timeline for if the newly formed board hired an attorney, a turnaround time for incorporating.
I don't think 7 days is going to make a difference. I mean, I think it's a reasonable timeline.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
I'm sorry. I said I don't think 7 days is going to make a difference as as for that. I think it's a reasonable timeline.
Mayor Lash?
Alderman Barrero.
Yes. Can I suggest that we look into the alliance continuing on for an additional 3 months until we get all this taken care of? It seems like they're doing a service that we asked them to do. Aren't they doing the downtown of life now?
I would say that they were hesitant to sign a contract that we passed, and I would say they were asking them to do additional work. With the ongoing negotiations there would be challenging. What we could do is ask Danielle to do it. That's asking quite a bit as a potential alternative solution, as somebody who's been engaging, but that's going to be a pretty significant shift of her workload to make sure that we continue to have First Fridays in our downtown events. Alderman Nunez.
But if we were looking at 3 to 4 staff members to help with this, anyways, would it really be Danielle? And I'm sure you can do it, and your presentation to the businesses I sat in it was really good, by the way. But if we're already talking about having 3 to 4 city employees help with this, then couldn't 3 or 4 city employees help Danielle as we're figuring this out?
What do you mean 3 to 4 city employees help with
According
this?
to the Beacon article, there was reference to 3 to 4 city employees that could sit on the board. And so if we're talking about Danielle working through this, I mean, then there are another 3 or 4 that could also help her with this.
Oh my gosh.
I think that so this has been done traditionally by one person. Marissa Moni started it off, did a wonderful job with it. I think it's probably, I didn't read the Beacon News article, just so you know. So I did interview for it about 2 months ago when we didn't have answers. I think Christian saw it on the agenda and probably wrote a story without asking for updated information, but that's okay. We don't control what the Beacon News does or doesn't do.
The Alliance is contracted to do this work through the end of the year, through the end of December of this year. So it would just be anything above and beyond that could fall on me.
Be a question.
Yeah.
And then for the next presentation we have on this, if we could have, like I said, that letter, the list of who was
Sure.
sent to, who responded,
Absolutely.
all that to really help with the site. I mean, we owe it to the businesses in downtown, especially right now where there's so much uncertainty and a lot of them question so much going right now. So I think we need to do our due diligence.
Of course.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Alderman Buck.
Okay, for clarification, the SSAs are supported by city staff, every SSA. My ward was one large SSA. That's how it was created. SSA money goes into our coffers, and it's held by finance, so they have to handle it. SSA money is given instruction and spending a lot of times by engineering. So the city staff, if the Beacon said 3 people, sure, legal is in everything. So every SSA in the city has support of the staff, not just SSA 1. So.
We're talking about SSA 1 though.
And every other SSA has the support of the city staff.
Alderwoman Smith.
So can we conclude that we're going to bring this back to COW on the 21st and then council on the 28th?
I think before we make any other motions, I think let's talk through it and hear everybody's opinion, and then start making the motions.
Well, the motions have been made.
To wrap, there's a motion on the floor to go back to wrap.
Unless unless Alderman Seville wants to amend it. No. Okay, that's fine.
Okay, let's vote on the motion to take it back to wrap.
Was there a
So-
second? I'm sorry.
Yes, second.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So
I
there's
did
a
not
motion
write
made
that
by
in my
Alderman
notes.
Seville, seconded by Alderwoman Smith.
Okay.
And the motion is to take this back to the next wrap committee. On October 21st. The clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Barrero.
Yes.
Alderwoman Garza.
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos.
No.
Alderman Nunez.
Yes.
Alderman Franco.
Yes.
Alderman Seville.
Yes.
Alderman Benuelos.
No.
Alderwoman Smith.
Yes.
Alderman Bug.
No.
Alderwoman Bade.
Yes.
Alderman Larson.
No.
7 yes, 4 no.
Motion carries. This agenda item will be turned back to the next Rules and Procedures Committee for consideration by that committee. Okay. One last agenda item under new business that was walked on.
Ready?
The clerk will please read the agenda number.
250822, a resolution authorizing the divestment and sale of city-owned property located at 1531 East New York Street in Aurora.
Good evening, Council. Patrick Collins, Assistant Corporation Counsel. These are one of the many properties that the city has up for divestment. We've received an offer. It is within acceptable scope. We're asking to approve this, and we can close on it. They're going to open as soon as possible, as soon as they get permits.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Franco, second by Alderwoman Smith. Are there any questions for Mr. Collin, whether they are about procedure or otherwise? Okay, no further discussion or questions. I'll ask clerk to please call the roll.
Alderman Barrero.
Yes.
Alderwoman Garza. Yes. Alderman Masiacos.
Yes.
Alderman Nunez.
Yes.
Alderman Franco.
Yes.
Alderman Seville.
Yes.
Alderman Benuelos.
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith.
Yes.
Alderman Bug.
Yes.
Alderwoman Bade.
Yes.
Alderman Larson.
Yes.
11 yes, 0 no.
This motion carries. This item is approved. This concludes the portion of new business. There are no reports. We'll move to the next section, agenda item 250823, bill summary of the large bill list. Is there a motion to approve the bills?
So moved.
Motion by Alderman Franco, second by Alderman Benuelos. Are there any questions or discussion on the bills?
Yes.
Alderman Bug.
Thank you. Finance, second to last page, line 13. Is Stacy here?
Stacy O'Brien. Thanks. The builders, number 13, builders paving.
Paramount Arts Center. And it says it's for the Paramount Art Gala on 12/6/2025.
that us?
Yep, these are, I think these are Alderman funds.
No, I need to see what it is.
Question the date?
Yeah, I'm questioning what it is and the date.
Yeah, the date doesn't, yeah.
And who it is?
Did any alder people sponsor the gala?
The gala's in January,
Right, it's in January, yeah.
and we have a special agenda item in finance to move funds. So I'm not understanding this.
That's a different thing, Frank.
Well, that's what we need to see.
I think it was you and I, Jonathan. Anybody else do a local sponsorship? 225? It's probably him and I. Did you do 25? He did 5, I did 5. So somebody did 25. So that's it.
Well, no, we need to see what it is, because there's another gala on 12/6,
The library.
the library.
Stacy Peterson, Chief Financial Officer. This item is a combination of three check requests. One is out of Ward 8 for $5,000 for a donation to the 2025 gala. There is another $5,000 request out of Ward 4. This is also a sponsorship for the gala. And then the third request is for $2,500 out of gaming, out of Alderman at Large.
Okay, so, Ms. Peterson, so we just have the date incorrect. The gala's not on 12/6/2025. There's another gala that day, and that's why I was very confused. It's in January at 18th, thank you. So it's just a typo?
We can make that
Well,
change.
the check requests that came from the Alderman's office, one says donation for 2025 gala, the other one says Paramount Arts Center silver sponsorship, 5,000.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the bills list, and it says Paramount Arts Gala, 12/6/2025. So that should say Paramount
So the
Arts
the gala's in January. He's wondering why it's 12/6 listed there.
Okay, well, all I have is the copy of the, yeah. I just have the copy of the check request. I don't have the other supporting documentation. I can pull that if you'd like, but that could possibly be a typo.
Okay. No, I just want to make sure and just double check, because there is a gala on 12/6, and it's actually being held at the Paramount, but it's for the Aurora Public Library. So I don't want the wrong funds to go to the wrong entity.
Yeah, he's right.
The mayor's bond. Yeah, and this is January 18th. Signed date.
Yeah. So yeah, if we could just get clarification,
Okay.
make sure the right entity gets the right funds.
I will get that for you. Yep, this is all going to the Paramount, but yeah, I will make sure that it goes to the right,
Okay.
Any other questions on the bills?
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. With no further questions, I'll ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Alderman Barrero.
Yeah,
Everybody's batteries are going to quit running out.
That was a yes from Alderman Barrero. Alderwoman Garza.
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos.
Yes.
Alderman Nunez.
Yes.
Alderman Franco.
Yes.
Alderman Seville.
Yes.
Alderman Benuevo.
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith.
Yes.
Alderman Bug.
Yes.
Alderwoman Bade.
yes.
Alderman Larson.
Yes.
11 yes, 0 no.
Motion to adjourn.
There's no need for a closed session. There being a motion to adjourn was made by Alderwoman Bade, second by Alderwoman Smith. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. This meeting is adjourned at 9:35 p.m.